Yes.
Yeah.
Then what are you gonna have?
Oh, it's going.
Oh, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, she did.
I slurped my drink.
Until I work for it.
Hey. Really please. I hate wallpaper, but I'm pretty good at it.
Somebody told me to contact the end.
How are you? Huh? What's new? Nothing. Hey, Jay.
How you doing?
Hello.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Together.
There's no point saying So that means we all gotta follow line?
That's how they want it.
So I know.
It's 6 o'clock, calling the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. All right, I'd like to open the public hearing on the 26-27 tentative budget. I think probably I'll grab the money the way in. I'll go over it a little bit and then I'll open to any public comment. So raise your hand. So in the general fund, so we're looking at an increase in salaries to $3,550,681. The equipment is a decrease to the amount of $81,481. And the budget synopsis. The reserve for equipment has been increased $5,000 to $55,000. Contractual expenses were actually decreased to $2,234,154. Capital projects increased $96,750. Employee benefits increased $81,351 to $1,837,899. And our debt service was increased $139,225 to $333,636. For total appropriations, $8,189,601. Estimated revenues, they actually been decreased this year for $3,262,000. We put in a tentative cash surplus of $136,000, which represents 3 years of retro pay for the police department. Mostly, things in there. Total revenues in cash surplus, $3,398,834. Balance to be raised by taxes, $4,790,767. Our taxable valuation decreased by 690,000 to 278,716,653 for an estimated tax rate of $17 and about 19 cents, which is an increase of $3. Our equalization rates, we're at 90% this year versus 97 last year. This is a tentative budget. We still have 3 more meetings to go through with our department heads this week, later this evening, Wednesday and Thursday. So there's still quite a bit of cutting left to do. Let's see, what else was I gonna talk about? There's not a lot in this budget to even really talk about. Mostly everything in here is basics. There's no major projects. There's no big deal in here. The payment for the truck is in here, and it will remain in here. There's reason for that service going up until we get that solved. But I mean, we'll have to leave it in because the budget's going to be passed in 2 weeks. I don't know, I guess, there's any questions?
Will the new assessments be used in this budget? If they're finalized, whatever, May 18th, right after the, okay, so that takes effect in the village's budget.
Yeah, next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The salary increase, does that include new employees?
I wouldn't say so. I'm sure it's, just contracts.
That's about 7,000 to 8,000 on average per employee. That's more than 3%.
Yeah, well, I have to, I think we made, most of the cuts for the salaries. I think the fire department overtime budget is up right now, so they could be part of it. Any other questions on the budget?
Does salaries include benefits, or is that
No,
just
benefits
salaries?
is a separate line.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we have a lot of work left to do. This is not unusual at this point. The state says we have to offer the tentative budget by April 15th, and so it's not unusual for us to be at this stage. So, I don't know. We got definitely some work to do, but
As you go forward, I'm getting the feeling that there's not much left that you can really do.
yeah, I don't believe that there is. Last year, we were in a similar situation. We had to cut 4 people out of the fire department, so I'm not sure exactly what this is gonna look like. Like I said, we still have to go through, we still have a meeting with the fire department tonight and the police department and the DPW on Thursday. So we haven't really done a lot of work yet, even in the public works department. So there's probably some areas there. I mean, actually, most of the items in the public works department are going to be paid for with CHIPS funds anyways, like the roads, which I was going to mention. Also, I talked to Jason today, and so he's talking about, and Scott, if I say the wrong thing, tell me, but he's told me like 4 times, I can't be saying it. He's going to be doing West Ave, Park Ave, Ohio, William Street.
Some spot,
Oh, yeah, that, all the intersections around South Main, that hadn't been done previously. Yeah, I had it written down, of course. You don't wanna watch me look for my notes, so. Was that, did you have another question, Dean? Oh, Mary,
I have
sorry.
a quick one.
Yeah.
How much debt did you inherit on the day that you took office?
Oh,
In
gosh.
previous years?
I don't know, all of it. I don't know, all of it.
When will we know?
Well, what exactly are you asking, like?
Well,
guess, I mean, yes,
I
I
understood
understand.
I understood even from previous conversations with previous administration that we were pretty much bankrupt. Is that true? Because I said one night, we have no money, and the response was, yes, we don't. And that was a couple of years ago.
Right, well, the village isn't necessarily gonna go bankrupt, I mean, villages don't go bankrupt, but, we would just raise the taxes, is what we would have to do.
Right. But that's, but incurring previous debts, if I incur previous debts, it's gonna be part of my budget.
Well, your debt is already set.
Right.
Like your debt is already set, I mean, you have a schedule to pay, and there's only one in the general fund that was even coming off this year, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 25,000, so, yeah, I don't know if they answered your question there.
Well, it sort of did. But I remember when Charlie and I ran, it was because we felt there wasn't much fiscal responsibility, and that was a long time, and way before you were even on board. And it was argued that, and a lot of crazy stuff has happened since then. So I think that you guys are probably doing a fantastic job, considering probably what you've been doing.
Well, I think the issue is gonna be that, the mindset that may be on this board right now has only been sitting here for a few weeks, and we're gonna be obligated to come up with a tax rate in the next 2 weeks. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure what it's gonna look like.
Right, I understand
really
that.
don't. I really don't.
Well,
I
I
hate
know
to
you-
say that maybe because I'm trying not to think about the inevitable, but,
But I know that you guys are doing yeoman's work on this. Every time I turn around, I get a notice that you're in a meeting, even on Saturday morning, which I was checked.
yeah, well, this month is routinely very busy with budget meetings. Thankfully, they haven't been late at night though.
Now you've got new members too, so it makes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A lot of things going on.
We definitely have some new ideas on this board, and,
Right.
I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, it makes for good conversation.
Right, I believe you have new ideas as well, so we're looking forward to this administration.
Thank you.
You mentioned the fire truck is on here, so we pay for it, until further notice. Is a new fire hall in the tentative budget as well? So, if it's only 320 inquiries, what's 370? I mean, it's 50 cents, I mean, they're already paid, it is what it is.
Well, you're welcome to that opinion, I guess. I'm not sure that it's shared by everyone though.
I'm not sure nobody wants to pay for something that's like in the garage either.
Yeah, well, we're gonna, we have a workshop scheduled for after the public hearing, so, when I adjourn the public hearing, I'd like it if everyone, if you want to stay for the workshop, we're gonna be moving over into the conference room, because it makes it a lot easier for us to discuss around the table. There's room for most everyone in there, I think. And then, so we'll go through some items that are on the workshop agenda, and, so that, we will be given an update on certain, and then we'll adjourn to a workshop, just for the budget.
I had a question about the sewer. What is that extra thing on our bill that we're paying for?
Basically for the debt service on the last upgrades over there.
On what?
On the treatment plan, I'm sorry.
Like what's wrong with it? Specifically?
Oh, about $7 million worth of things that were wrong with it.
Is there any plans in the budget for sewer line upgrades?
Maybe. That's very likely because our sewer, the fund balance in the sewer is very low right now. And there's more work to be done over there. And everything that we do over there is mandated by New York State DPC. And we get, dinged for all kinds of things over there. And everything that gets done over there is very expensive. So we have an RBC over there right now that needs to be repaired. It's probably gonna cost upwards of $60,000. We did not budget for. So there's constantly issues over there. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's so important for us to keep the tax rate down, I think, because it's very likely that your water and sewer bills are gonna be increasing at some point. Because we do have work to do over the treatment plant, and we definitely have work to do on our water lines, and even if we can get grants in after that, it's, I'm sure there's gonna be some out of pocket.
And how many employees are there that cover this 498,000?
So there's, they cover the what?
It says the salary budget for sewer is 390.
Oh, in the sewer. Well, there's a few DPW employees that might be over there, but for, a portion of their salary charts, there's two employees at the plant. And then, a portion of the superintendent of public works is charged there. And a couple of girls in the office are charged there as well.
So
It's two full-time people though.
what are they?
I'd have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
It's 400,000 seems a lot for like 6 people.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna find out.
anything else? All right, thank you. I will close the public hearing on the budget at 6:16. And before we adjourn over to, I did have on here that if anybody had a public comment period, or a public comment, I'll take it maybe on anything other than the budget. We can talk about it here over there. Anybody want to speak?
Yeah.
Was it you too, Tim? Yeah, your name was on here, sorry.
I had a question about the house that's sitting there. You guys addressed it like 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, my God, addressed again. When it's gonna be cleaned up. Is there time?
Going on Park Ave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I was just thinking about that yesterday. I don't know.
And then there's actually a hole next to my garage that fell down, and it's a little dangerous. It's open.
Where?
Well, Shelley?
Oh, a hole where in the road?
No. A carriage bar that collapsed.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the demolition for the other house, you guys said they will get more time, but never specified time frame.
Right.
And I mean, I have kids, I don't know if they play it. I hope not, but kids are kids.
Right.
I'm sure the kids want it too. Pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dan's not here tonight, but I will mention those things, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
This is an open discussion that will be followed by a final discussion later on, or is this the final open discussion?
Yeah, this is a workshop night, so there's only one public comment hearing, and
And
that's
that's
for
now.
the workshop. And that's now,
Because I
yeah.
signed it, so I didn't know. Okay, a couple of things. Where's the fire truck right now?
It's in Canal.
Is it true it's in a field?
It's
An
in
open
a
field?
parking. It's in a parking lot.
Are we insured to have that truck in a parking lot? Does the insurance company know it's there in an open field in another county?
I don't imagine they know that, but I think it will be insured wherever it is. And
So
it's
it's-
supposed to come back tomorrow.
Why have we not been told this? I mean, I had to pull it out of Mayor Sherman at the last meeting, and she knew it was there. I don't believe that while she was mayor, they just drove off with that fire truck, and she had no idea where it was, but she denied she knew where it was. And I got texts galore today. Everybody knows it's sitting in a field. Why hasn't it been here? It's gonna depreciate. It already has. I'll never forget the pictures of that fire truck and O'Brien's Holes parking lot with the mayor and the trustee riding up and down on it like it was a big joke. and it wasn't. And it offended this entire village, and that's what turned people out to vote unit.
Right,
I'm
well,
utterly, completely disgusted.
yeah, trustee House followed up on that this weekend. So the truck will be back here tomorrow.
Okay, and are there gonna be any ramifications for all this shenanigans? And I'll be polite, because if I was in my house, the air would be blue right
I'm sorry, I was just doing visual, sorry.
now. I'm pretty, the village is pretty steamed.
Yeah,
It isn't just me.
on
I've got texts galore on this.
the what?
Well, people know where it is now. I know exactly where it is. It says sitting in the middle of a field with weeds, and it's been there through winter. Was it better off there than sitting in the DPW where we had arrangements to park it? Who hijacked this thing and took off with it, and why? Why is it there? Because they couldn't have it? So they wanted to wait out this election in case Marguerite won and they could get it? Is it lettered? Does anybody know anything?
It's not lettered.
Okay, thank you, trustee Cross. Okay, that makes me feel a little better because we'd be talking some serious money now.
Just touch it lightly.
I know it's depreciated from sitting in a field, there's no doubt.
Well, I know that.
Mary, I did go and, actually put eyes on it.
Okay,
And it's not lettered.
okay, good.
When I talked to, I think it's Jim Tabers. He says that they were ordered a plate that goes on top of the engine compartment. We paid for that,
Okay,
and apparently it was ordered a couple times, and it was the wrong size.
okay,
So they're waiting for the right plate to come in so that they can put it on. I think I'm talking to the rest of the board about it. I think we all come to an agreement that we're gonna bring the truck back here. And then when the part comes in or whatever, we can make the arrangements for that to get installed. I don't know if somebody's gonna have to take it back or if they're gonna come out here. At this point, I don't know, but I can tell you that it's supposed to be coming back tomorrow.
very good. So this had to be parked up there so a cat could be installed, a cat couldn't be installed here in the building of the DPW?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I didn't talk to him about that, the arrangements of when the pup comes in. At that point, I advised the board of where it was, how long it was gonna be for his part to come in. And we made a call to bring it back to the village and park it inside somewhere.
So I'm glad that you laid eyes on it, because it was very difficult to get an address for that building. And everybody.
How I found it is I just Googled
Well, I did too,
the
that night.
company.
Yeah. I did too, but it looked like sort of a strip mall kind of a thing. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me how there could be a fire truck there. I had no idea that anybody would be so irresponsible to park that thing in the middle of a field. If I had a brand new car and somebody parked it in the middle of a field somewhere, I'd go ballistic. And any of you guys that love your trucks, if somebody took your truck, and even if your wife took your truck and parked it in the middle of a field, you go nuts. This is a 40-foot ladder truck sitting in a field. It blows my mind. I am so glad we have a new administration because it's gonna get cleaned up. And that's why this village turned out, I can assure you. People voted that never voted before. And that's why. And we're looking to get this straightened out. And there's a second thing, and I have been told this just recently. It's an allegation, allegedly, I have no firsthand knowledge, but evidently something happened at the school last November involving flashing red lights in a school bus. And it was addressed to me twice on Facebook, and I wasn't catching on to what they were talking about until I started to think it over. And then I asked a couple of questions, and it turned out that this could have been something that could have resulted in a promotion. And I think that needs to be looked at. And who is the liaison between the police department and the board?
That's Mark.
Is
Yeah,
that Mark?
I don't know what you're getting at, Mary, but.
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't because I didn't. But it needs to be looked at. It really does, because this whole village is percolating about that. I mean, everybody I asked, you know anything about it? Sure, I know all about it. I heard all about it. I could say more. I could name names, I could name bus numbers, I could name everything, but I won't.
Okay.
But I want to talk to Mark if he's a liaison. I want that addressed. That is scandalous, and you don't want to stain on your administration, Debbie, because, excuse me, Mayor, you don't want to stain on your administration, because now they're laying it on you, and they're saying you're covering it up, and this board is covering it up, because they're fast on the draw.
Okay. Come see me, Mary.
I will.
Okay, and we can talk about it.
Okay. Can Mark be there too? Would you mind?
Yeah.
Okay. I can meet with you both and give you whatever information. It's scarce and it's an allegation. It's nothing but a rumor at this point, but it has to be looked at.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mary.
That's it for me. That's all.
I have
Anyone
another
else?
question.
Okay.
There's a new sign at the school. Who's know better than this? It says no left turns out of the school. Is that something the village allowed to put up as a street sign? And is it enforceable?
That was school property.
So is it enforceable by law?
We have not.
We can't hear.
We haven't been.
No, I was asking if it's enforceable.
It's not.
Oh, is that school property?
We were
Is
never
it
made aware. I'm not sure how they got it up.
Oh, there's all sorts of new signs there.
Okay, Chris,
Is anybody taking advantage of the sidewalks? The grant, the money that was given for the sidewalks yet?
no, not to my knowledge.
Was it Bob Sanderson that donated that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a group, Bob and a group of his friends. Sort of a philanthropic thing. Yeah, I saw that at a Christmas party. He told me that's why he did follow through that. Because he knew all about it, the sidewalks, he knew all the regulations for sidewalks and half an inch between posts. I thought it was higher, but I guess he followed through. That's great.
Okay. All right, we'll take 5 minutes, and if you want to join us for the workshop next door, you can. If you don't, that's okay. No more public comment. Here you go over there. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
I know. Yeah. This time I'm gonna say. Speak out. And what do you
Oh, what, John?
No, I'm saying, along with my buses. And then giving people emotions. Oh, yes, oh, you better take her, you need her. Also, is this your record?
No, you said 7:45.
That's what I meant. I thought it after I said it, and I was like, it's fine. She'll think she got 15 in the phone, isn't it? It's a mistake.
Would you be terribly offended if I push this back?
No, I won't be at all.
Because I think if I do, I can see most of the
You
room.
know what? I can probably sit in that chair.
Yeah, you could. And you wouldn't be a bit in the way.
I know.
When you're talking tonight, can everybody make an effort to speak up, because we couldn't hear what was going on the other night. So there's no mic. I'm gonna help you if you don't. Try.
Can you hear me now?
And you were one of the ones that was bumbling, and you had some very good things to say. And I think more people should have heard it.
So this is just more conducive to workshop discussions. I hope you understand.
Sure.
Okay. And we want to get this from which the village in.
Well, maybe if you collect, the village collects the money that's owed from towns, that you might be able to get a mite or something in the center of the table.
Where's Linda?
Maybe if they paid up there, it's not Linda, it's if this has been going on for some time between Shelby and Ridgeway, it's not just Linda. You need to get over to Ridgeway too. You're letting them off the hook. Oh, who's off the hook?
Okay.
I don't want to have you pass me my work
I said, Joan, that's it. Kind of what I was saying. It's quite I got
Not last year. Well, it's kind of, I think you would have to ask the question, is there any legitimate, anything reasonable that you could cut? Probably not.
Yes.
Without drastic. I'm gonna just, because there are no firefighters. But yeah, Christians service. There's other structures. And I'm not, I haven't been in structures like I'm in a meeting. So like even having a meeting, yeah, trying to get more information. He's a smart guy. What's the data man? No, but what?
Okay, we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. So we need to get moving. There's a lot I don't know. I tried to actually say that we were, or I forgot that we were having a budget meeting. I tried to cover these things up. Okay, so the first item for discussion on the agenda is the police department. Christian, do you want to come up? You want to sit here?
Sure.
Sit here with us. Sit here with us and talk to us. Yeah.
But, so I think previously you discussed, going to the confidential secretary. From what I was told, that was the best option for us, just based off the type of information that it would be. But after talking to Katie Harvey, a lot of the duties and activities of the confidential secretary, as far as the script goes, preparing budgets, scheduling meetings, it's far and above, what we would need in the building. So, in speaking to her, kind of came up with that administrative assistant would be a better option for that. The gap dies down the duties a little bit. Can I see here? And then submit it, but I thought some things that she
So what, do you know the date?
No, but she has shown interest in doing it sometime year or so. I just wanted to get out of the.
So what is your, what do you want to do?
Rescind the confidential secretary, and vote for administrative assistant stuff.
Okay, so we already approved that, or you
I
did?
have a question, is it? Being a new guy, so is this an addition, so you have somebody in there now, or we're adding somebody?
She's in there. We have a keyboard typist.
Keyboard specialist.
She is the secretary for the police department, but she's been there for 22 years. She's shown interest.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's a replacement rather than an addition.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're looking to create this position.
Yes.
We have it open for different ones.
And call for a test.
Is this a test that gets offered
Yeah,
routinely,
this-
or?
I believe this one is administrative assistant 1 or 2. I think it was 2. And that would be a test that would have to be called for. I don't believe it's.
It's not.
No. I believe it's what it is.
Any questions for Kristen regarding that? Is that, do you want to vote on that tonight, or do you want to save it for the business meeting? It doesn't matter.
I just wanted to make sure you guys had the information.
Do you remember when we approved the confidential secretary? Like in
It was in
2026? Okay.
Are these both full-time position, or one was a full-time position?
No, they're both. We just voted, or the board voted to have a confidential secretary position test.
Yeah, I found it. It wasn't to open a new position. I didn't, that's what I didn't remember doing. We just called for the list. So we don't have to rescind anything. We just don't do anything with the list, right?
I don't even recall what
So
positions.
Was the
in
position
November,
created for the village?
No.
All right, so.
no, November 24th, the motion was made by Pedalowski, seconded by Belisky. Mayor Sherman is authorized to call for the police confidential secretary exam. But if we call for an exam and we don't use it, we don't have a position, we can just move forward by calling for the exam you actually need, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then do we have to create the position before we can even call for the test?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that you have to. I think we have to create the
So
position.
that's probably what we
Yeah.
got.
Does anyone have any opposition to that at this point, or any discussion regarding it? I think we could find out from civil services exactly what next steps. We have to create the position, and then we can do all that. next time.
Would you call for the test? How long is the test good for?
Oh, that's good. We can find that out.
They have to take the test first. I don't think.
Yeah, but if you take the test, somebody's on the test, how long is that test good for?
Well, our other tests have been, what, around a year and a half?
Very good. Here are the scores.
But there's nothing saying that this test would be immediate anyway. If it takes 6 months for them to get on the list, and then we have those tests for about 3 years and a half.
Guys, this corner can't hear you guys.
Sorry.
I know there are no microphones in the room, but
I apologize.
we can't hear. I know I can be heard across the street. That's not a problem for me, but I know everybody can't project like that, but I can't hear anybody.
Okay, we'll try Mary. Speak up.
Can we get mics at these meetings? Microphones at these meetings so we can hear better? I mean, this is a pretty small room, but
No, we'll try to speak up, Mary.
thank you.
I will find out from Katie Harvey though, if the position needs to be made first in order to call it. From.
The second thing on here is, code enforcement office, code office, business hours, and Dan's not here to give you any background on that, but, I know at the last meeting, we voted to change the business office hours to, or maybe set them to, to 8 to 4:30. And, when I advised him of that, he requested that they be changed to 7 to 3:30. And I said that the board would have to make that decision, and I was hoping he was gonna be here tonight to tell you why he thought that the business hours should be that. And he is not here, so I guess it's up to the board if you wanna act on it. Or you wanna
I
talk to
personally
him.
would like to hear what he has to say. Why he wants to send it to. I agree.
When he talked to you, did you feel moved to change the hours?
Not personally.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't really have reason wanting to change it either. I mean, I offered what we had offered, which was, getting out early one day, working Saturday mornings. But he didn't like that one either. I figured he would. So, yeah, I mean, I did explain to him that the most important thing was his availability, the office's availability to the public, and that's what we would be concerned with. So, I mean, I don't know if 7 to 3:30 would make it more available to people or not. I'm not sure. Let's see. Since I work at, we have Steve for, do we want to, well, I guess we can do. I was going to skip over the fire department till right before the budget, but, yeah, let's skip down. Jason's, couldn't make it tonight, so, under Department of Public Works, we have a few items to talk about. One of which is the town of Ridgeway received a sewer bill for $45,000. Is that right, Jay? Is that the amount, right amount? And that is not their normal bill. Their normal bill's around 18. And so originally, it was thought that maybe something was wrong with the meter. I don't know. But now, and we were gonna get a new meter. But then the next bill, the next reading, actually, right? The next reading came and it was normal. It was back to normal. So there's some time period in there where it looks like more sewage was getting passed through the meter. So now we're questioning whether or not it's actually a faulty meter or something else going on. I think it was Jason's recommendation that we reverse the bill and then give, or I think that's what Ridgeway's looking for. They want us to reverse the bill and give them an estimated bill based on previous usage. I'm not crazy about jumping on that idea because I don't think it really solves the problem of what went on. I think Scott had the idea to find out what the actual water usage was from they get their water from Albion, Knowlesville, right? Did I say
Yes.
Knowlesville?
Yeah.
This was for Knowlesville sewer. Sorry, some stuff goes in my head, out my mouth, but believe it or not. But so we haven't done that yet. So I was hoping Jason could give a little bit more information, but actually that's all I have. So
They get their water from LBN? Yeah, and use our sewer, and they said that it was high. I don't understand why it would be high unless
Change the meter.
if the water, they charge their, you know, the residents there by water, so if they bought that much water, it'd have to be that much sewer, so we'd like to see the water bill. I would think that they would, you know, we just have them pay the fee, the bill, because that's what their bill is, and if there's a credit, we find there's something different. I mean, I wouldn't say just don't pay your bill because you don't agree with it. Right now, you owe it. I think they should pay it, and then we're not the ones lagging here. They should have came to us with the case, hey, this is how much water we bought. We couldn't have had this much sewer. They didn't do any of that, so their bill is their bill.
Maybe even change the meter.
No,
No,
the meter's $6,000, but there's to be nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, because it went back to that point.
You like to read in this last quarter, well, I don't know, I think they should just pay the bill, and if they have, you know, evidence that they didn't use that much sewer, bring it to us. Why should we have to investigate why they had such a high bill?
Do you know how long it will take to get the water readings from Albion?
It really shouldn't be our responsibility. I don't know. I asked. That's really, I'm not investigating why they have a high bill.
This bill was due March 31st, so they didn't pay any of it. All right, so actually now it's 50. It's now 50,000 because it's a 10% penalty is added to it. So that makes it more difficult.
Mayor, they just asked to not to pay less, or what, they just want to.
I think this all came through Jason, like word of mouth via the Ridgeway supervisor. Is that right, Jada?
The Ridgeway supervisor
Or the highway supervisor, sorry.
I think, I mean, Scott's right, the bill is, past practices, they pay it on time, so either they pay it on time, or they come up with the reasons why, and if they want to do the research and say it's an error, if they use reasons, it is on them, but past practices always been.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, where am I? So the other thing was the revised agreement that Matt typed up for us for the E3 environmental. I sent it around ahead of time, so I'm assuming everyone's looked at it. Was there any concerns with the way it's written now? Okay, I talked to Jason today. He said it appeared to answer all the questions that E3 had. So I don't know, do we sign it first, or do we send it to them and get them to sign it and then we sign? I wasn't sure.
We can do either way. I mean, it's going to be effective when both of us sign it. So, you know, typically, and I think the way it was done, you know, we can even email it, and it can be signed counterparts. So, you know, they'll sign one and send it to us, and we'll sign. I mean, we'll all have photocopy versions, but it doesn't matter who signs it first. I think you know, because I think it was of some value, assuming it's done properly, you know, what they're supposed to do for the revenue it'll generate. So probably we sign it sooner the better, get it to them. So
okay, the only thing that was that it does say in here that E3 agrees to remit this amount, which was the 72,000 that has already been the cost for the sewage that's already been dumped for the stormwater.
right.
Prior to that would be paid prior to execution, and we haven't seen the check yet. So
Well, I think
it kind of puts us on the fence.
yeah, I would say, you know, it's not in effect. Everyone can sign it all they want until that check comes back with their signed copy. It's not dumping anything else.
Okay, so maybe if everyone's in agreement with it, we can forward it to
Yeah,
them and just say this is, but we're not, you know, it's gonna be signed by us until we
Yeah,
get it.
remit your signed version with the check, and we're gonna be good to go.
Okay. That's right. Do you need a resolution to that, or just?
Well, I think, yeah, we would need a resolution that gonna authorize you to sign.
In the event that it comes back with signature
yeah.
and your check for 72,000.
If they meet the conditions and sign it, then yeah, they'll be authorized to sign, yeah. And then,
Yes, so
Is there
I'll
is there a motion you can write?
Second.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we had to. I was already moved on. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Opposed? Yeah. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. I was already moved on, sorry. The next thing on here, notification to board, Jason set up a meeting with, at 1:00. So if he's gonna give us an update on what's been going on and what's gonna be going on in the future. So if you're good to go and, yeah, I see how many of us are gonna come, but what time did we have? We'll probably be at the office. And if it looks probably will. Thursday at 1. Okay. He tried to get a hold of me today to confirm it, because I didn't have the time to confirm, so. But he had 1 o'clock. It's, they do a lot of work for us, and so it's a good informational meeting. Jess, are you? The afternoon ones are hard. All right. The other thing for Jason, just to let the board know that, and I think I forwarded it, but Joe Kelly and Julie Meritowski here interested in doing a lot of volunteer projects here, and so she's gonna want to meet with me to talk about some of the stuff. A lot of the stuff they want to do is at the park, State Street Park and Butts Park. They want to paint the buildings. They want to paint fire hydrants. Oh my goodness, the list went on and on. I think there's a volunteer application that they need to fill out. I think it kind of came in after I was gone up. So we'll get them to do that. And I think there was some talk also putting panels up on the sides of the building, so that may have to come to the board for approval. I think she was going to try to have some renders, but I can give you more information if I talk to her. I haven't had time. She's contacted me like 3 times, and I just keep putting her off, I guess. I will talk to her. And speaking of signs, we have an agenda, but I don't think I did. To be on the agenda, I told him that we would need some more time to review this. And he already came to us about the signs on different village property, the ones on the sidewalks and stuff. So he dropped off more literature right before I left the office today, so I haven't really had time to look at it. It looks like a lot more than you originally think. This is a lot of papers, but so yeah, so we're gonna have to approve those signs that go on the property. So yeah,
This one's actually state property. And I didn't know if that would impede the crosswalk there. If you would drive. I didn't. I thought you addressed it where, because they updated me, see it's right now.
Well, technically, those are state signs and there's state rules that you are not allowed to fix anything to a post with a state sign.
I think I heard at the planning board meeting that they were gonna contact the DOT about that.
But then I think it'd be up to the planning board or whatever to approve it. That's DOT too, but yeah, unless they have approval of the DOT. But it's like, legal.
That might not be one of them that they're even asking us to, I can't remember which one they had to go through this. I know it's last.
We're just approving the application. That's it.
Well. But yes. Yeah, because the planning board essentially approved the other sign, so I know there's, a little bit of disagreement, but I wanted to give the board time to really like review these spots and just make sure that, rather than him coming here after for a decision, we're on the spot, give everybody time to look at it.
Before we move on from that, I'm sure we've all kind of heard there's been some strong feelings by business owners about the existing signs. I have not had a chance to talk to anybody from the planning board yet. Are those signs inconsistent with what we normally do, and would we do that because they're temporary? Like, what is this even a deviation? Does anybody know? And this might not be for right now. Maybe I need to talk to the planning board, but is this a deviation from what the planning board would normally approve? And is that because they're temporary? Like, what was the reason? So
I have the feeling, because I did go to the planning board meeting where they talked about this, and I kind of felt like they didn't have anything to really, other than size and whatnot. I didn't feel like they had a lot to really fall back on in order to make the decision, and the fact that they were temporary. This is kind of an odd thing. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy.
No, right on.
Okay, so.
Hey.
So yeah, So I think it's been. I don't know. I mean, I'm not all that familiar with all the regulations, like historic district and all of that, but I think that.
No, but I mean the planning board is. So I just wondered if maybe they had mentioned I don't want to put you on the spot.
It was because they're temporary, 3 months, and they're gone. So we said, we don't have rules and regulations for things like that. So we just took it at face value, said, it's temporary, let them do it, and we'll move on from there.
I will say they're very easily read. I mean, because
Yes.
sometimes you have signs and it's like, what do they say and where are you going? I think it's as simple as they are.
Especially if you're going down some roads. It's very easy to follow it.
Maybe the tape label.
Well, and I think we don't want to get into whether we like it or not. I mean, we don't
Right.
want to get
Right.
into,
And I don't think
I
that
don't
that
like
was,
the looks of that, or I don't like the color.
No, I don't want that either.
If there's nothing that says specifically you can't have that color, or I don't know. It's just it's like a
Yeah,
sticky
I do
thing, and
remember so there was a business owner last summer or last fall, I guess, who started a business, and that's where I learned a little bit about signs. And I know we have some restrictions, particularly regarding color and font. So, my understanding is that either this is outside of what we normally do, in which case it sounds like it was, and we approved it because it's temporary, or this is a part of what we normally do, and business owners have gotten the wrong impression. I just kind of was hoping it sounds like it was the first. So that way, as this kind of thing comes up, I sort of speak intelligently.
Right. Well, so that's the other thing. So I was thinking if if you want to talk to Dan in the meantime, or yes, he's not here, he could give you some more insight individually, so that when we go to vote on this, we have something to say in support of either decision that we make. Because this is a little bit different. Okay, so let's see, where are we now? I had on here, I'm jumping around a little bit, and I apologize. We had 2 requests for the Canal Basin, Airbnbs in the Canal Basin. One came in just this afternoon, and one we had a couple days ago. So we'll be discussing that at our April 27th meeting. Jeff has expressed an interest in kind of looking into that and what we're going to do with the Canal Basin going forward. So I'm letting him know that.
Yeah, I'll have some information. It's just that there's some verbiage in the lease that we have with Canal Corporation. I just want to make sure that it doesn't come back to bite us. So I have a phone call with Dave. He's going to come. He'll come back tomorrow. He did it. Probably have one conversation. So when I find out more, I'll bring it next week. Because the canal's gonna open up soon, I'm sure they're gonna want to know.
Thank you, Jeff. So there's also an issue of, Town of Shelby water bill. They paid their water bill late, and now they want forgiveness of the late fee on the water bill. We'll have to get them.
Well, we got an email and I guess it's my understanding the water bill did not make it. Their meeting was on, they report on they received it on the 12th, meeting was Thursday. I didn't have that time to get it ready for their meeting. So they would like the fees removed. We're now going to do another process where not only is it mailed, but send an email right to their billing water bill clerk.
What's the, I think that's great. Is there a dollar amount that, I know we're looking at a water policy in the future, I don't wanna be inconsistent. If your bill is over X dollars, we'll also email it upon your request, or are we gonna do that for everybody who asks? Like, we're running into this postmark thing quite a bit now, and if we're not gonna take a postmark bill, we ought to be consistent. If we're gonna start emailing one customer, we ought to either have something lined out saying, if you're a commercial customer, if you're a governmental customer, or whatever the circumstances are. Otherwise, I don't see what stops every customer with a $100 water bill asking for an email because we don't take a postmark.
And obviously we can't do that for 2,400.
That's what I'm thinking. So we're gonna have to write a policy that says, or we're gonna have to write that into the policy that says what the parameters are. If we're gonna start doing that for somebody, we should have something to point to that says why we're doing it. Or
My personal opinion, it's a quarterly water bill. Everyone knows they get a quarterly water bill, and that falls on the owner of, that's the onus is on the customer.
then why are we emailing Shelby?
Shelby emailed us, and I'm bringing.
But we're gonna email them the bill. That's what I'm saying. Like and I'm not opposed to it at all. I just think if we're gonna do it for somebody, we should either put that into our policy that there's certain accounts or certain dollar amounts or whatever where, and while I'm not opposed to the emailing, I don't know. I'm still really firm on the postmarking is the appropriate thing, because now we're recognizing that the town of Shelby didn't receive our bill. And we're finding a way to make sure that they get what they need from us.
They received it.
But they received it late. They received it too late for.
Not too late, not too late to pay.
No,
Just
they
too,
could, they
just
could
too
have paid it.
late.
Right.
There was,
I
Too
don't know
late
the
to take
process
it
over
to
there, but
when did the
Well,
late
then
fee
wouldn't
go?
that be too late today for them?
the late fee goes on the first business day of the following month. So this was yes, so this was let's see, this was just mailed out. It was, yes, it was a January bill.
So your position is the position the board's taking, I guess, is that they should have called a special meeting?
We pre-authorize our utility bills just for that reason. So that, yes, they're called recurring claims.
Yeah.
That's the state allows us to do that.
Yeah.
And we do that. So that's how we get around getting, because they give you 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that aside, we're at 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're agreeing that this is a problem for Shelby, we've agreed that it was postmarked, but they didn't get it in a timely manner, and now we want to know
Well, 12 days. I mean, they still had.
that. So you don't think we should do that?
I don't care if you email them or not, quite honestly. I think it's a courtesy for a fellow municipality. I don't mind doing that. I certainly wouldn't want to say it's okay to do it for the whole village, but I don't know that that's the answer, I guess.
Well, I don't
I'm
want to
not sure
offer
that's-
anybody anything we can't offer to our residents who
Yeah,
had a hard
Well,
time
that's
paying
what
their bills.
somebody has to remember to do.
absolutely.
And that's why I do think a conversation where the onus should really be on Shelby, and they should, say, hey, it's our quarterly bill, can you email it to us? Well, really, the onus should probably be on the municipality.
I know when my water.
I know when mine's coming. Well, usually. Sometimes I don't, I do pay it late, and I pay the late fee.
Same.
As far as I
I've only ever paid a late fee as a board member.
And I pay
I
late
I never missed it.
fee. I always remember the day after. There's the water bill. And I worked there.
So I don't know, what's the board's feeling? I mean, we're not in the habit of forgiving late fees. That's basically where I'm at, but. The alternate side.
I think you set yourself up for other travel. Late fee. Sorry,
That's your too.
I mean, I know how we do it. We do it. We keep it. It's not our problem. You know,
Right. Who asked for it? Was it the board or clerk? Or-
I did talk to the supervisor and then the administrative assistant to the supervisor. And I distributed the email to everyone.
And they paid the bill without the council.
Well, the new bill is out now. The April bill. And, Kelly sent a separate completion.
But they paid the other bill. They paid,
I don't know if they paid the April one yet.
Did they pay the bill that the late
yeah,
fees
the
were
bill
assessed
with
on?
the late fees on.
Yes.
No.
But
without
they
the
didn't
late-
pay the okay.
Yeah, that's what I was. Any more discussion, more action?
I think they send us, just like she did, send a late fee with it. And if they don't respond, they don't send it.
I'm hard of hearing it. Is that what you're saying? Okay, everyone in agreement with that?
Yep.
No action on that. We're gonna table the penalty. I think David sent everyone, sent everyone an email regarding the, Jeff was just talking about it, actually. I did want to, I got code of ethics on here, because I want to review our current code of ethics. So I didn't have time to do, I want to do some research and see what other municipalities use. They seem very different. I did look at the state and the conference of mayors and what they say, and they basically give you certain things that you should address in your code of ethics, but it's pretty much up to the municipality to design or devise their own code. So it's going to need some more work before we can really talk about it. And I did not get a chance to do that, but we will talk about that in the future.
Are there any particular points you'd like to see addressed?
Yes, it's specifically the political activity that was mentioned on there. There's there was a section in there which me and Matt did,
in our existing code, you mean?
yes, in our existing code. It's the very last, it's a very short paragraph on political activity. And the last line of it appears to negate the whole paragraph.
This prohibition shall not apply to officials or employees appointed by the village board. Which, it's kind of like, forget what we said about.
Yeah.
Well, regarding public officials and employees elected and appointed, do you consider a hire an appointment?
No.
I think so.
Okay.
I think we appoint all employees.
Oh, interesting. I always read that to mean like, you know, how we appoint a person in like the deputy mayor, the mayor, like.
Well, there are differences between appointees and employees, but this says, beginning, no appointed official or employee. So it already includes employees. How are you going to define it? So that really covers everything. except when you come down to the end where it says forget this, although it says, and then it says the prohibition shall not apply to officials or employees. So, but it does cover both, so it would be
Oh, wait,
appointees,
where
for
am I
instance,
looking?
a village attorney's an appointee, that's not an employee appointee or.
Wait, what is it? What are you saying?
The last line negates. the
Oh,
previous-
officials or employees appointed.
Well,
So-
but on the top, it says no appointed official or employee, so that seems to cover everybody. At the bottom, that last sentence doesn't really make a lot of sense, how you look at it. And it's been that way since, I guess it's, well, amended back in 1990. It's been that
Right.
way.
Yeah, I was gonna look in the minutes today and I didn't get to, I wanted to know what. So something obviously happened in 1990 that made them add that particular line and, yeah.
Yes, September 1990.
I also think that just backs up with the lines, doesn't it? I think the lines, you can't use your position. That's why I was so uncomfortable when I was being asked in the board about outside of board activity, because you can't use your, like, I mean, federally it's like the Hatch Act, but like, you can't use your role to, like, I couldn't go up in the trustee comments and vote for Deb, like that's totally, or I'm running for office, like that, you can't do that.
Right.
But like as a human, you get to be a different, like there's somebody who works for a governmental administration who will call me on my personal phone or call me on his personal phone when he wants me to do a campaign activity, but he will call me from his work phone if he wants to talk to a representative or he wants to talk to me as a representative from that office.
Right.
So I think that's just what the law is. So I'm thinking that this line here is just restating the law, and I don't understand how you could exempt anyone from it, because the law is the law, right?
Well, this hasn't been changed, like we said, since 1990, so I gotta think if that's the aspect we're looking to change, if we look at other jurisdictions, somebody's gotta have defined it or made something that makes a little more sense more recently that we could adopt and replace that paragraph entirely.
Sure.
That makes sense, because even when I just read the whole paragraph, not taking a look at that last line, it's kind of vague. It doesn't really make sense, because obviously, you can't use your position, but personally, I mean, you can, be involved in politics, obviously, if someone gets voted on, so it's a little confusing to begin with.
Yeah, I don't think you can accept, I don't think that the initial part, you can't use your position on behalf of a political party, and you can't use your position to take an active part in campaigns or solicitations for candidates. I think that's just the law, so I don't think that last line, I don't think you can exempt anyone from it. I think that's just what the
Well,
law
then we
says.
take the line out.
Yeah.
Then we take the line out. Because there's a reason why I believe that was the line that was added, because it clearly is the line that does not make sense with the rest of the paragraph. So that line was added for a reason, and that's why I'd like to look up in the minutes to find out exactly why it was added.
Yeah.
Because it was either added to negate it or negate the previous part, whether that was the law or not, or there was something else entirely that was intended that, 20 years later makes no sense.
Right.
So that's the part I want to look into. Yeah. So that's, and I haven't, and that particular, the code of ethics that we have in our code is the code of ethics that I believe is in every one of our union contracts as well. So that's, that's another issue that we have to deal with at some point, if in fact we need to change the code of ethics. I don't know if we're going to, but I would like to have a discussion on it for certain. So at some point, we can do a little more research, and maybe Matt, you wouldn't mind, I don't know, we can find something on it.
Do you want other examples? Or?
Yeah, maybe other examples, like, I tried to Google it over there.
All right, yeah, no, I can find something to write up my research stuff and see what they're might be other examples of what maybe that was originally intended to do, and somehow it got modified piecemeal along the way, but it doesn't make sense anymore.
Thank you. The other thing, work agreements for fire chief and police chief, I sent those around. I just want to get a resolution out there accepting those so that we can get those signed by the mayor and the appropriate department heads, as long as there were no further issues with it. Work agreement, just
Was one thing I think we changed the hours from what they were to what they are. And back, I'm sorry, Christian, we're not bringing this up sooner, but back when this first came up, I know I talked about it one-on-one with Marguerite, but I don't think it ever made it to the table. So, Christian, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you mind going over what the hours on your paperwork were versus on the paper that was given to you versus what you've been working?
I thought it was 8 to 4 original.
Yeah, like on the paper, it had like an hour lunch built in, and I don't think that's something that the rest of our department heads are doing. Or maybe it is. I thought it was half hour for them. Right?
I just remember that time we like I do stayed later, but could have left at 3. So I don't think he had lunch built in.
I know we talked about that, that actually was that
Oh, was it?
It was something that you requested.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh. I was like, I'll say, usually it was working on check.
I don't know if you were there or not, but that was talked about, if you choose not to take a lunch on the side.
Yeah.
The agreement, I think that back then was the hours were at 4 o'clock. I think he wanted 3 o'clock.
7 to 3 or 8 to 4.
Yeah, and then
for
we
me,
all agreed then that it should be 4 o'clock. I think the basis was 2 was the same as there. For the overlap of the shift, that so that the chief is there for the midnight shift, and then the overlap for the afternoon shift is coming back. I think that was very important. When I was there, it was nice. A lot of times, once they moved upstairs, it's harder. But when we went along the other way, it was nice when the chief real was there. That was brought up. I do remember that.
No, I didn't let you down. I brought it up.
It did. Somebody brought it up, and then we all agreed that somebody.
For me, it's not the 8 to 4 or the 7 to 3, whatever the board decides, that's fine. For me, it was that extra hour of unneeded lunch, because normally I don't need it. If I do, it's just like working along. So it's a wasted hours that I keep working.
Well, aren't we obligated to? Yes, we are.
We're obligated to
Whether
offer
he
it.
takes it or
Yes.
not is another thing, but I think we are obligated to set his hours. And then if you don't want to take the lunch, if you want to go home at 3, I mean, that would, I'm not going to tell you to do that every day. I'm not going to say that.
I just don't want to sit around for an hour and not be able to work.
Yeah, well, I think
You
that.
choose not to.
Yeah.
Home meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, yours is set up the same way.
7 to 4 with a lunch. So I'll do whatever works.
I was just saying that's yours set up and
That's basically my concern, is how I believe it was set up to start with. Is I actually called previous chief and asked him when that came up, and that's what he told me. He says that because the police department worked 4 2s and the hours that they work, that the chief was in when the guys from midnights. So that was time for them to talk to the chief And then the shift that's coming on, they still have the opportunity to, before you go home,
Oh,
to
I
come
see,
up
I
and,
see what you're
and talk to you. You know, if they got a concern or a case or something like that, that they, I think that's what he told me, that that's why it was set up that way.
So Todd's in chat.
That's why it was Jose. It was Jose that I talked to.
No, I meant in their previous agreements was, I don't know what they're.
I think it was the same. I
7 to
could-
4?
Jess could,
No, I think I can pull up times, hold on, but I do think we updated, I don't think we had a lunch listed. We might not have even had hours.
I just want this straight out.
yeah.
I'll see the midnight guys whenever.
Yeah, I don't see hours listed. At a quick glance, it look. Yeah, they're not in here, so I think that was something that you must have added, because you wrote the police one, right, or like pre-worked to make it.
Yeah, but I didn't put that in there.
Cause I know sometimes things are going
I mean,
on.
I did put it in. I wrote it in there.
I don't even.
Part of it is sometimes things roll in, you might get, I got an afternoon shift, you might get, you know, you only get 10 minutes, you gotta go.
Or you don't eat.
What's that?
Or you don't eat.
Or you don't eat.
I don't know. Is it mandated by law, you're saying, right?
I think we have.
I'm
to-
not sure if it is.
I think we have.
Because I still work the road. What do I do when I work at midnight? Like,
Yeah.
2 days I work a midnight shift to cover overtime.
That's where, definitely.
Well, you don't have to take it, but I'm not 100% sure if it is mandated by law.
I just want to be, however,
It's under the Taylor law,
Oh, is it?
30 minutes required unpaid.
for law enforcement.
Comes
We don't
it
have
just
it.
says government.
So,
But you can't force it to take it.
Right.
No, I mean, it's a protection for the employee, so that they have the opportunity to, like, your employer has to give you the opportunity to have a meal in the middle of a shift.
Yes, I think that means setting the hours to be that, and if he chooses not to take the lunch. You know,
So,
I mean.
It's there, but
Not to embarrass Jada, but I mean, her hours are 8:30 to 5, and I don't think she ever takes a lunch. So. Well, in a department head, you have certain, you know.
I think there was something in that contract. I read it. If he works, to bring it up, works in another shift, or you have the right to whatever interaction with the mayor. So we want you to do that if you say that you want to go work midnight shift, then with the direction from the mayor, we can be able to go in and do that.
Yeah.
And then excuse you from another, whatever the mayor decides. Because obviously we want you to monitor, the department with the way you feel fit. You know, that if you need direction on midnights, or all of a sudden, something happens, you got to expect them to get you, they're going to be compensated.
I don't think that's in-
60 hours.
I think that was just like an unwritten.
yeah, it's not written down.
Right, but I think there's something in, I have to go through that.
There probably should be.
I think it's in there.
Is it?
I think it's in there.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
I mean,
contract.
I have it in front.
Yeah, but did you look at, see down in that paragraph where specific hours?
It just says the Village of Medina Police Chief will work at least a 40-hour work week during each payroll week. Work hours shall be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a 1-hour break. Any deviations from this schedule will be based on department need.
It's brilliant.
That's it.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
Are we in agreement with that as written then, or what? We good?
Yeah, I think as long as it sounds like what you're saying is if he didn't take the lunch and he left at 3 and things were settled, I just want to make sure.
As long as he gets his 40 hours.
Yeah. So there's no, confusion later on. So, yeah, I'm fine with it as written, however we do it, as long as it's clearly communicated. Sounds like he gets it. Right? Yeah.
Alright, can I get a motion then to accept the work agreement for the police chief? It's distributed.
Make a motion.
Jeff, second.
I'll second it.
Oh. Jess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to accept the work agreement for the fire chief is presented.
So moved.
Second. Lucy, Powell, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. I know, I'm gonna fix it as soon as I get in my groove. So I don't have to worry about the Jess and Jeff thing. I get tongue-tied enough as it is. Let's see, Arbor Day, April 24th, next Thursday at 10 a.m. at Gwynn and William Street. If anybody wants to come and watch the kids, or Friday, yes, you're right, Friday. Thank you. Watch the kids plant trees. So, and I'll bring this up here, because we had a request to install, and this is going to be anonymous at the request of the requester. They want to install a commemorative metal sign on the fence of Field 3 at Bucks Park. It's going to be very similar to the sign that's already there. The sign will be fabricated by Take Form, the same manufacturer responsible for the existing sign, honoring, it's one that honors sleep level. I don't know if you've seen it. Anyone's seen it. It'll be just like that, ensuring consistency and quality and appearance. No alterations to the fence itself are anticipated beyond standard mounting of the sign to the middle pole of the backstop. The placement will be consistent with the current sign already installed, ensuring a cohesive and respectful appearance within the park. I respectfully ask that this matter be met with discretion. This project is a surprise for the recipient. Let's see. Yes, is there any objection to that? No. No. Okay. Motion to allow the sign, a commemorative metal sign to be placed on the fence.
So moved.
Whiskey, second. Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. You want this for your notes? You do? Okay. All right. Oh, and what's this, the resolution? Okay, say it.
It's just to sign, it's a motion allowing the mayor to sign the application to set up the Department of Transportation Equitable Business Opportunities account. It's going to be for the Pedestrian Bridge Project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Opposed?
I was like, is that a veto?
Nice.
Do you want me to sign it right now? Let's see. Oh, I bounced around on here so much.
Yeah, just fine.
Right, I didn't do the fire things, and I did want everybody to know though that I did send a letter. Shortly after the election, I sent a letter to the previous mayor and to the Firefighters Union asking for some clarification on how those numbers were obtained that went out on HyperReach to different people, and I did not receive a response from either. Just to let them know.
Did we have the foil from Do we have the results of the FOIL from Hyper Ridge?
We also have a FOIL and I don't have the results.
No, I'm waiting.
Okay.
Um,
Is
yes,
there a timeline on that?
they're doing their legal department is handling their Hyper Ridge.
But like, do we know when we should hear back?
She didn't give me a time.
Oh, okay. Is there any opposition to making that information public once it's out, just so that, but like, I think there's been a lot of public
I
interest
think
in that
it
topic.
I think it needs to be made public, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Just, I mean, just to tell the whole. question.
Yeah, and I think more people than are in this room probably are curious, and I think that will resolve a lot of questions.
Yes, that's right, that's right. Okay, so up to the fire department, since how Steve is here, I saved all this to the end. So the update, let's see. Oh yeah, I gotta see when we were talking. Oh, first of all, we did receive, the firefighters union is, grieving, I don't know, they, let's see, the delegation. And so like after 1 year, after 5 years, after 10 years, they get an extra week or an extra 48 hours or whatever it is in the contract. So there's some disagreement as to when they actually receive that, if they get it on their anniversary date or if they get it on June 1st. So that's essentially the grievance, I believe. So it's a step 2 appeal. It's been given to Chief Cooley, and he responded, and now it's been given to me. So Jess and I will be meeting with the union as soon as we get a date together. We proposed a date, but they couldn't meet.
And I saw, checking my email during the meeting, or right before the meeting, it looks like there was another suggestion, Wednesday at 11:30, which
sorry,
I don't know if you're aware of it, or it's available, but it just came in part of my phone at 5:33. But one thing I wanted to say, and I mentioned it to mayors because there's strict timelines for the meeting, and we are, the village is working to schedule that meeting. We should just get it in writing, and I said I would just a suggested agreement, 2-line thing saying that, the village has received the step 2, and we have been diligently working to schedule it, so the time we're told, I mean, because you're supposed to have the meeting within 10 days, but of course that, there's scheduling issues, and it's budget time, and everyone's got to schedule, so, as long as, everyone agrees that, it might take an extra couple days to get that meeting to happen. Just something in writing for both sides to sign.
If I read it right, we have 10 days to have the meeting scheduled, but I don't think we have 10 days to have the meeting, do we?
I have to double check.
Okay.
I always like to make sure we have, everyone is on the same page.
Yeah.
But, I'm not sure. The way I read it, I could be wrong. I've read a lot of different sections, but 10 days to have a meeting, but maybe just 10 days to get it scheduled.
I could have just read what I wanted to read, but I'm pretty sure.
And me too, but I don't have it, it's too hard to see on my phone right now, but I think we should probably tomorrow just agree, just put something in writing that we are, both sides are diligently working to schedule it, and, as long as it gets scheduled in the near future, we're not going to see it any time once.
Okay, all right, I will.
But maybe the 15th works, I don't know, it's for myself to decide.
Right, okay, all right, we will talk about that tomorrow, then I'll get the number. So we had a meeting, Scott and I and David was there also. We met with the towns, town supervisors regarding the ambulance contract. Because we were kind of looking to get some sort of figure put in our budget this year. Something more than the $35,000 that's in our current contract. We had last week with Supervisor Simon, Hemingway, Linda was there, and, Napoli, Supervisor Napoli. And we presented, some figures, which I believe maybe if everybody got a copy of that, but just what the ambulance costs are for the village. And come up with a deficit of about 1.6 based on the budget as it is right now. So, I don't know. We have another meeting scheduled for this Wednesday. Tom Shelby seems interested in working something out. I don't know if it's exactly the dollar amount that we would need, but they're interested in a different way of doing business, I guess, which is what we've been saying. I think that they're interested in that. I didn't get much feedback, or I don't think we got much feedback from Ridgeway, and Supervisor Simon is definitely not wanting to pay much more than what he's paying right now. So, so that will remain to be seen. I'm not very hopeful, really. Give 2 weeks to get something out of it. And, 35,000 a piece is not going to help us. So I don't know really where that's going to leave us, but we will expect. And in any event, the contract itself doesn't even expire until the end of the year, and they've already paid their 35,000 because the budget year started in January, so they already paid their share for ambulance service for this year. So as far as they're concerned, they're good to go. So anything that we would have been negotiating, that we would negotiate at this point, we would receive until next year, but we could put it in this budget if we had, maybe not even a signed contract, but a handshake or something to say, this would be what we'd be going to do. So I don't know. But, that's where we're at on that. So I do want to talk about the ladder truck. So the ladder truck will be back here tomorrow. So I'm hoping that we can move forward on the sale. Whether it's going to be through an RFP or sealed bids. I think it essentially may be the same thing. So we need to talk about how we want to proceed with that sooner than later. My thought is that if we could, well, first of all, I think we need to, and Steve, if you want to come up and participate in the conversation, that would be great. I think that we need to set a minimum of what we're going to sell it for. And I was thinking kind of offhand that we need 1.8. We need 1.8. That's to pay off the loan. And anything over and above that, if we were to set a minimum bid for anything over and above that, maybe that's the amount that we could put in the budget is anticipated revenue.
Does the 1.8 factor in the single audit that we have to get?
Well, it might be a little bit over that, actually.
And then what about like the training? Like folks came in to train on the truck. Do you want to factor that cost into what we would need to make ourselves whole, or we?
I mean,
The graphics. Because it was 6,000 set aside for graphics.
But we already paid for those.
right.
We already paid the full bill for the truck. And I was told the training, they had to have the training anyways. They were going to get that regardless. We had that conversation, back before it came.
Well, their training hours were budgeted, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're coming up on the end of the fiscal year, but I'm thinking it's likely that they could use those hours for something else if we what's paid up for training that we use on this equipment or not.
I thought we brought that up and we had the training. I said we should train on something that might be beneficial. And something we were told that we had to pay him anyways.
Well, we have to pay for training.
Yes. So
I mean, if we don't
those
wanna
are-
consider it, we don't wanna consider it, I would put that dollar amount.
I think how we do it through a broker RFP, it's always gonna say that the seller has a right to reject any and all bids, because if it all just comes back and you don't think, for whatever reason, it didn't get advertised enough, didn't get enough responses, you know, and you think something may come up that we wanna try again, I always wanna reserve that right to reject what it is. Whether or not we do or we don't, but we want that right.
Did you have that?
I had a thought. I mean, we know what it costs, but what if we get an appraisal? Would they look at the market right now and then look at what we have physically and say, hey, you know, just like the diamond ring, you know, it changes when the market changes. I don't know. I have no idea what an appraisal would cost.
It probably depends a little on what route we go to, because I bet you a broker would do an appraisal, right?
Because then you could
Yeah.
set your minimum based on that appraisal, right?
We can set our minimum to, you know, whatever we think to cover all the costs. We can figure in all those soft costs and what their costs are. And, you know, a lot of the brokers out there, we don't have to exclusively go with them. We can go to multiple brokers. We can, they can all, you know, get it out there, get it marketed. And, you know, the appraisal is what people are willing to pay.
I just don't know what the fair market value is. That's all I'm saying.
The fair market value is what someone's willing to pay. I mean, you know, people right now are paying too.
Right.
For the exact same truck.
Is that what it is?
If they were having one delivered today, you know, 6 months later when ours was
They ordered
supposed
it
to be
today, they'll work 2 years down the road.
2.4, 2.7.
So
I saw one of those. They signed for 2.4.
I see some used one for 1.9, 1.8.
Right. No, I'm talking apples to apples, like
Yeah.
a new order.
Oh,
You know,
how
now
much? 2.7?
I thought it was 2.4.
2.4. Yeah. I thought that's what, you know, one of them is the same.
Yeah. Like within the last 6 months. So, yeah, I don't know. It's outside of my expertise.
Well, I was hoping that it was in your expertise.
Appraiser? No. I am not an appraiser.
Yeah,
they're,
yeah, a lot of people have already gotten a hold of Pierce and, you know the exact bill and everything on it. The last company, I forget the name of it, Steve, the Nationwide one, now
Garage.
You know, good source. There's, you know, there's a lot of sources out there, and they're all right around the same percent.
So in this business 1.5, what is that 1% figure?
No, that's that's
That's the law. So really, we need about 1.9 and just go ahead, just any incidentals.
Yeah, we might be a little more than 1.8 actually, because, yeah,
I mean,
it's a little over it.
Does the lettering go, if somebody purchases the letter that we paid for, that goes to that company that?
No, it's up to them.
But it's no additional cost to us. We've already paid. So we're not getting another
No,
bill.
but my point of it is that if that can be transferred to somebody else, that would be those selling points. It's just small things, but it's.
Well, I think that, I feel like our first order needs to be setting the minimum bid price. And I would rather do that than say, we reserve the right to object any and all bids. I mean, I know we can say that, and we should still say that, but, I don't want it to be the only the only caveat.
Yeah,
And it's,
yeah, I mean, you wanna know what it's worth, and like Steve said, he doesn't, can't appraise it. I don't know what the service of an appraiser would cost. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, the rule that we have to follow is to maximize, the value, and I think it would be helpful to know, if an appraiser says worth 2.1 million, then we should know that, so we know that's our minimum or around what we're expecting. So I'm not sure what the cost is, or if a broker would be willing to do that as part of their service.
I think the brokers would. I mean, if there's 3 of them in there, they obviously, they know the market. They're selling them. It's just like you go over to a realtor, you're not gonna get an independent appraisal. I mean, we have someone that, it's go off the house, go by recommendations of your realtor, the brokers, the same as they're the ones selling it. They know what it matters, I would think.
so if we go with a broker, let me get what this broker thing that we do that, do we wanna, solicit bids? Would that still be, I mean, talk to me a little bit about
Well,
it, I guess. Share your knowledge.
Brockport seems to be real interested in it, so I didn't want to go with, one source of, a purchase. We have quite a few people that are really interested in it. They haven't given us a number yet, just because they haven't physically seen it yet. So we're just waiting for it to come back so people can take a look at it. Hey, now it's available, but we're still selling the truck that isn't complete. I mean, it's not complete to us, so, I mean, it's not even able to put in service yet. So I don't know where everybody is, what they want, as far as pay. We were waiting until we physically had it back, and then gonna move forward. All right, let's, send an RFP out that we want to pay, for the clients that we have. If it doesn't meet our expectations, if we put a minimum on it, let's go with a broker route. See what they can. And we can go with all 3 of them.
Yeah, I don't know, for like an RFP, and I don't know what's out there, and what bulletin boards and what websites we can put it up on, but I mean, there are local places that Brockport's interested, and of course, if we get able to do a deal like that, we're gonna save a commission to a broker. Some way to send out an RFP if we know it's interested, see what comes back. I mean, if it's out of the ballpark, not what we want, we can say no way, but if a fantastic offer comes in from, some Brockport or something, we can say, okay, this like, let's do it.
I like the broker because they're going to market it. They're going to get it out there. They're going to get it out in the eyes of 20,000 people other than us. All right, let's find out who we think we might be able to market it to and respond to the 10 inquiries that we've had. Hey, can you give us a price? They might send it out, and it'll be a brand new truck, never put in service. Be reaching 2030. I don't know. I would think that, the word would get out there, put a little time on it. So, gained attraction.
I guess what I was getting is there any way to get these local interested places to give us a number that
we can?
Yeah, I mean, just, and still we could end up going with the broker, but just to know what locally you think.
Brockport would probably come over Friday. I mean, they've been.
Well, I think that's what, I mean, I want to keep this ball rolling. We're already like 2 months, 3 months, January, February, March, April. We're already 3 months sitting on this thing, and I want to get it wrapped up. So whatever the next step needs to be. I mean, if we go with a broker, do we need to set a minimum with them, or will they know that? Or, I mean, will they know? Huh?
Everybody.
Even a broker. Okay. So, and more than one broker can.
Yep. Their percentages may go up slightly because they're not, handling it themselves, so they're competing
against others. So a couple of them did say that. I haven't talked to Garage. I've only talked,
There was a little bit before they do.
yes.
Did you talk to them at all?
No, I never got it.
I talked to Fenton and Brendan. And a couple other small ones, but those two were top runners that we did found.
So then maybe we want to reach out to the brokers and tell them it's available to look at. I mean,
If we can put a package together, for some of them, most of them had it. Okay, here it is. And that's what they all wanted. The brokers themselves, they wanted pictures of it.
they have the specs already.
Yeah, so there really wasn't,
I mean, what formally, would we have to put together, like?
just, I think,
Or
sign an
informally
agreement with them,
with them.
stating what, if we did go with their, now, they did say if we sold it to, on our own, that we're not tied to their contract. So signing with them is, if they bring us the sale, then we pay them their commission. We're more than welcome to, to market this and sell it ourselves. But if they bring the buyer, that's when we would get into their percentage. 20,000.
It's pretty fair.
Well, their theory is, when I talk to them, if they put as much work into selling a $2 million truck as they do a $60,000 truck. So it's not, hey, we're gonna hit you 10% on 2 million. Something ridiculous.
So I'm talking about that you could sell it yourself and not.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah,
go that
no, they both. And now I haven't talked to Garage about that, but who I spoke with,
So we need to come up with a figure of minimum, so it covers our cost, broker's cost.
I wouldn't want to say either one of the names out there, but pretty much the people I talked to said it would, you'd get your two.
Or more.
I don't know
If you get 2 or 3 people looking at it.
but a lot of people, they would,
It's the right hand. Because that's what I just thought, was maybe it was the wrong one. Let me look.
You need a DLT and not DP, because those get back to me.
It is. Oh, it's not going. It was DL. That's why I was just checking. Maybe that was why. But no, it was on April 6th. Well, if you want to search for that first name or that last name, you search for that last name. Unless it went to the, what do they call that?
The quarantine?
The other. So mine comes up like this. That focused.
Yeah.
And other. So maybe an other, like junk.
Because I just went through my other, there was like 100 things in there, and I'm like, what is all this?
And then I forwarded the voicemail. I'll send it.
Please forward it to me. So what do you? Do you want to make some phone calls tomorrow? What's the?
I'm not available tomorrow, but
Okay.
The following day.
Okay.
Friday. Yeah, get it back here and get some pictures, get it cleaned up and take some pictures of it and see what, have the actual package together that we send to, some brokers, see what their feedback is, and we can call Rockport up. He'll be more than happy to come out and take a look at it. I don't know. I know that there was a gentleman in Michigan who was having on. There was quite a few people. I kept telling him, "Well, give me a minute.
It's been 3 months.
Here we are.
Okay, so you want to work with me on that? Wednesday or Thursday this week. Wednesday's like going up quickly, but Anybody else?
Take
I
a
got,
pass.
I got adjust.
No worries.
Oh, gosh. All right, okay, any more discussion on that for right now? Do we feel like we have a plan in place to move forward? Okay, good. Do we wanna take like a little, I think that's it for our agenda items. Do we wanna take a little 5-minute break here before we jump into workshop budget? Okay, all right. All right, don't follow the clock.
Yeah,
It's
no.
set the same thing since we got here.
I've been looking at it.
8 o'clock, no, 8:10. Get a drink of water. I don't even know where you can get a drink of water. Maybe you can. Yeah. So have a cigarette or
I just think that,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only about you, so if anybody knows it's you.
Okay.
Do you truly believe that I would climb into the
Make
actual?
a bigger call.
I'm only
I felt it was
I did write it down several times. People who are on Ridgeway. And I think it will. Sure, that's a whole nother problem.
I think
Okay, so I want to make sure it's the person who grants, but it's
Facebook, and I said that. Would you do me a favor? His Facebook. And you told me to so I went downstairs. All over the place, just everywhere.
Right here and
I didn't I don't even know what she was. I was not interested in it. She was one chapter. She said, I shot her. Here's what she said. And I'm running to shop here. I couldn't believe that. moving on. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, she's not totally, it wasn't expensive enough. So, and that's the.
Yes, I do. I think it was knocked out on my Facebook. And I'm really if you can't look at your own blood,
I think you know my.
I do know that. I like this road and everybody pretends it's
So the school is.
It's hard.
With that.
If you disagree with like, I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? Can you disagree with the maybe you think I'm not educated, maybe you think I've never used it.
well, you may not have used AI. I stand behind when I watch the
I sure do.
and a lot of it, I watch for the meeting. Well,
they brought everything they needed. But that's, it's okay, so that's another one. I disagree on that, right?
I do disagree.
And I think that's what I would love that. I would love that for where I live. I think I would love that.
If I had a computer up there,
And that's a place, that's a place I think you comfortably disagree without thinking that I have to. You might not like it, but there's nothing.
I think, I think we should come ready, and I think if you can't answer questions, I think it should.
Well, they think it's on the phone, right?
Not like. There's.
Sure, but there's nothing inappropriate. It's just, it's totally.
All the
fine.
definitions.
Not like it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was,
You said you would agree with anything else.
I did, I said, right, and I don't mind sharing that.
I'm not saying you don't. You're
No, I
asking.
know. But-
It's unfair. It's a level playing field.
What I said was that I don't, that's a, I think it's really cool for us when it comes to, when I'm doing this, I use a computer instead of a letters. We can have a disagreement on that without it being
I don't see the kids anything. I just.
right? The thing that I told, it's not about my career.
Yeah, that's all.
I did, and that's what I'm
They
Oh.
sell.
And
That's why they do it.
And they were yeah,
I know. Many people.
But definitely,
Yeah.
so that's it.
That's because people voted.
Right? We want a better. I want to leave a better. Well, of course, but that's okay.
It is over.
It's, there's no
She absolutely does have a, they all have these guys all get a mandate.
Yeah, and I think that's.
It is. I think this is. If anybody wants to. Yes, yeah, and then you go. This is
Sure, that's not how I. What I'm saying is.
I'm sorry.
But that's not nothing, but that's. Deb's gonna be.
What I'm saying, all these facilities are things, the village percolates.
Am I misunderstanding? I think there's somebody else that's.
You're elected.
I knew.
Because I was.
And I'm not trying to take
Everybody try it. She does pull it up on his phone. So. And I got text messages asking me all kinds of questions about that, because everybody else has been one myself and I know, but and I will too. We're not going to tolerate any more of this. I do. But you asked me a question.
I did. So, you answer my question. Does anybody say that?
Well, I don't know.
I can't speak for everybody else.
Somebody was, this is a picture. This is a building. Huge. This village, and that word is. We don't know where they was. I don't believe. Well, yes, comments. I have enough comments. Plus, I we never said. You never
that it would come here
How do
and
we-
have to go
You know,
get its
and I'm like,
additional
yeah.
I never
How do we
looked
do
at
it?
I don't know, maybe I want to keep them out there. What they have.
Everything.
Now, you can say that's before I've heard that could be true. I'm sure,
And I was like.
I'm sure it was true.
We would say that. I believe that every.
I was putting some applications.
Mine, mine was my work this year. It was always better before because I literally started, the scouts there. I'll do a great job.
And I wouldn't like to do that because we have why if something is why is anybody seen that?
No, I know.
It's even worse.
Oh, I know, oh, it's not just stuff, oh, I know.
Oh, they're probably ready every week. There's all kinds of testing.
Yes, well, like, if you ever get something together, that would be really appreciated. I live in Florida, so much fun. Well, it's
All right, no.
There's nothing. Nobody could stand that.
Can you do 1620?
Babies. 12 weeks of vacation here. Now somebody's crying.
3410.
I talked to people.
Fire department, 3410.
I wanted that.
No talking in a peanut gallery, we're doing our motion.
If I use my way, don't be trying. I'm working on it.
I'll come back.
Okay, Joe.
I'll just very in the corner. Oh, never mind, she's already in there.
I'm always in the corner.
Oh, my gosh, okay.
I was out in the corner at Catholic school too.
Oh, I doubt it.
Oh, yes, I was.
Sure you were. I'm not surprised, I'm not saying that. I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
everything.
Kate's looking at me like, oh yeah, she was. Okay, sorry, Mayor. Carry on, Mayor. Brooks is gone. Did Brooks leave?
Go stand in the corner.
I automatically go to a corner.
Yeah, I turn into a pumpkin when it gets too late and then you won't get anything out.
But it's only 7:14.
No, it's 3. Oh, all right.
34 times. So.
And it's up to date. I know there's other changes. Oh, sure. Okay.
So what are we looking at, about 880,000? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got for us, Steve?
Just speeds up.
I see the way.
The total budget, what do you got at the total budget? So this is 291, 847. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. Double sorry. Also, that one decreased.
Any place there you want to start? Okay. Is there any place in particular that you want to start? Anyone have any thoughts? Here we go.
I go back, Steve and I talked a little bit today. Back to, the overtime of 300 $300,000. I know that you've got it all mapped out between Kelly time, vacation time, sick time,
Yeah.
and all the good stuff. You know, we're at this year, originally was 140,000. I don't know the exact numbers now, but it's way from that. And even if we budget $300,000, where are we gonna be at the end of the year?
I think that's a good solid number. The math was 280. And I took into account, the vacation hours, the Kelly time, the PL, the sick, and the training hours. Now, training hours is not global for all 16. Training hours was just for those two guys going for 50. That was 30 weeks. 15.
Now, those two new people that you have, so when they're working now, are they considered a person? There's nobody else with them, they're by themselves.
They're by themselves. Or 104.
So my thought is that you got to figure out a 280, and you gave yourself a $20,000, buffer.
Mm-hmm. Well, and knowing that each person will not take every single vacation hour granted. So, but I did total the total.
Okay. So what you're saying is that realistically, this should be a 300,000.
I would like a lot less than that, but
Well,
yeah,
I would really shoot for like 100,000. But I mean, what's a realistic number? Because we're sitting at a time where we're looking for everything that kind of.
Yep. I think 250 is realistic. That's not factoring in any injuries. I mean, we didn't see, that wasn't in the crystal ball for this last year, and that blew it up. I mean, that alone is 2,047 hours right now. There's a handful of sick hours in there, but that's mostly related to injury. So, that's still with 7 payrolls to go.
50. I know that you're new as chief in that kind of thing. So if you just brought up your schedules up.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I have no idea how to read it, so I'll have to study it.
Each day. You'll see it. It's broken down in times.
Sure.
Yep.
So is there something else that we could do as a team to bring even that overtime down from 250 down to 225? Just to get a better number, again, firing, nobody gets hurt, or 2 people don't quit, or whatever happens to us in that fact. Because we really need to present a good budget to the people, and we're all going to pull that budget a little notch tighter so that we.
I don't know where there's anywhere else I can cut this. Not following contractually. The trading.
Training. And these 2 people that try and do, they have to get that done both at the same time in the same year. We just have to be done in a certain like
18 months
from when.
Higher date.
We've already got to
have to complete it. Yeah, they have to go to this next academy. Where are we at right now? Your figures.
I have. We were at 330 like 2 weeks ago, so it's.
Right. So, but we have 2 more, 2 more months to go.
I thought it was projected to be about 400,000.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna come into that. It might, but, so we're at that. We were down to 11 firemen. We have 18 now. So we have that many more personnel than we did, last year.
Right, and the scheduled shifts just for the last payroll, well, the payroll that I did today, there was 138 scheduled hours, and that doesn't include the 8-hour sick. That's just people taking time off.
If you look at all 16, give them 6 weeks. That. When we're looking at overtime, and you know, we can have here unused vacation, buyback, and sick time. So let's just say 6, you know, let's just put it in the 3, 24. So if you get your 10 employees, right? 10 employees have 6 weeks off. So that would be 240 hours of, you know, 206 every 240 hours. 240 hours, 2,400, and then do 18 on top of that. And so when I'm looking at it out, you know, and you hit the average overtime at $46.
43.89.
Let's just call it that difference.
I totaled up 63.78.
Yeah, $6,000.
Yep.
So
I did 6,378 times 43.89. Yeah, it was 279. 279.9. So that's why I said 280.
yes. Seems like you would have right there for I all comes like today with choice. Said 4 today, brought 2 in where 35. Well,
We didn't have any hours.
oh, we those station.
No, I made an assessment once I got there, and we weren't tied up that long. You know, that those assessments get made by the officers. We figure out how long we're gonna be tied up. So I went to it.
That's kind of what you and I talked about today, make those assessments and great job on that. My question would be, is that when you're not there, the other shifts and stuff, do they have that same mindset that you have?
Yep, the officers in charge and all. Or the senior firefighter.
I'm not thinking anybody would change
No, and that could change. Tomorrow we could run out a similar scenario, and the time of the day, or maybe there's work in the queue already. There could have been a transfer holding. You know what I mean?
Right.
Could have
Oh,
been.
yeah.
So
Every
just
day.
today, yeah, every scenario. I won't say every day, every scenario, every call is a little bit different than the previous.
But that's what they do. Look at that.
Mhm.
So what, so we're sticking it for the overtime, where we at?
I in 15 weeks for our 2
15 weeks each, yep. That was factored in there.
yeah. I don't want to go off, you know, I don't want to go off my math. But I would, worst case scenario for me, you know, would look worst case, would look like 240. Yeah, that's worst case to me. But I looked at your numbers,
Yeah, our math is similar.
Yeah,
right?
very,
You know, I
very.
mean,
I'm figuring,
right.
and that's what me figuring it.
if I'm wrong, I mean, say,
No,
hey, Will,
no,
you
no,
missed
I
this,
don't- I
or
don't-
you know.
I don't think either one of them. But I looked at your numbers,
Yeah, our math is similar.
Yeah,
right?
very,
You know, I
very.
mean,
I'm figuring,
right.
and that's what me figuring it.
if I'm wrong, I mean, say,
No,
hey, Will,
no,
you
no,
missed
I
this,
don't-
or
I don't-
you know.
I don't think either one, you know.
Yes,
You know.
correct.
You know, Higgins retiring, Chief Jackson, we've been, you know, I think we had quite a few that went. We were down, you know, we were down below that, and I see us being, and we had training last year for, did we have anyone in the academy last year?
This current fiscal year?
No, the year before. This
Yeah, back, look, I don't believe we did.
400. We're gonna be 370. So it's only one more guy in training for 15 weeks, but we have, a lot less personnel leave. I mean, I think that a lot of it came to us in the turnover and where we were at. I don't know, I guess that we're a mutual decision, what you're most comfortable. And we don't want to leave leave us short on it.
No, it's just this current year has a little shaky on what to put in there because of the injuries. They can, I mean, 10 years from now, that something could happen. You could have 2. I mean, that's just the nature of the business.
And quite honestly, that's the problem, because it feels like a runaway train that we don't have any control over. I mean, this last year, you're upwards and there's no stops. There's no stops. I mean, if the calls come in, you're obligated to answer that. I mean, can we say there's no more money? You can't answer a call? I don't want to say that, but at what point does the village say there is no more money? And
we tightened the policy down with mutual aid. If there's a crew out, we don't go anywhere. We keep those assets. So if there's an ambulance crew out, there's 2 guys at the station, and it's a village call. Guys are on a village call, they're reporting whatever. And we turned one down today because that happened. There was a call at a correctional facility. We turned it down. So that's been in effect for almost 10 years.
So who goes?
Tom was chief.
So who goes when you don't? We just wait.
Goes back onto the dispatcher to find another resource.
But they find somebody else.
Yes.
right, we'll mention. I think the problem is so much bigger than just sitting here at this table, but at the same time, we have to do what we can do here. And
there's so many municipalities, there's private companies, there's volunteer agents. I mean, they're all in the same problems, and the state report stated that. And then you lose, so a company goes out of business, and it just makes the job harder for those that are still in business, because that ripple effect, because now that service area starts to grow because there's less ambulances available.
So, and that's one thing when you're talking about a private service, and it's a totally different one when you're talking about a service that's paid for by taxpayers. And that's the concerning part, because we don't, as taxpayers, we should have some control over our expenditure. We should be able to know how much things are going to cost, and we should be able to set the budget and set the tax rate based on those figures. And I understand, I've seen a lot of budgets and they don't always come out perfectly, but this particular service feels like there's no control over it. We sit here and talk about, 300,000 and over that it's, gosh, it might not be enough. It might be enough. It might not be enough. Well, that's a lot of money. And,
I mean,
and I
two
can
more
understand,
full-time employees would help offset that.
and
That's $50,000.
Right, I mean, we're paying it one way, paying it the other. You know,
right,
Well,
but
we'd
you're,
still have the overtime because they would be on it with two staff at 5, where we would still have, so
you
even,
could suggest
so even a third ambulance run, 2 would be gone, we still have to call someone in to go with the 5th man, on an ambulance call on 3. So there'd still be, quite a bit of overtime. You're taking on, an additional minimum $250,000.
I think there's workarounds and, involve an MOU and the union at the table. But if you create tune that works a static, they work opposite of one another. Those 2 employees would work opposite of one another. 9 to 9, 8 to 8, but that's conversations that go beyond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've looked at it. But for me, the hard time for me was that third ambulance, call. We still have to call someone in if you're not at the station or someone else. So we're still going to have overtime. That we took out 2 more employees at 200.
Third ambulance calls are 105 hours right now for the year.
Yeah, so we'd still have that times the $50.
Right. Right now for the third ambulance call though, it's 2 people handle that. So you're paying 2 folks. Because those are usually during high times.
No, I've been trying to sift through those calls, and a lot of this, it's not just and I'm not to get off the budget, not at all, but get off, like this sheet that we work off of and where we're at. And there's no doubt that what we have, Mercy, if they were 300,000 over budget, they would say, hey, we can't even do this. We're going out of business. We're bankrupt. We just lost 300. They can't go back to their customer and say, hey, we went $300,000 over. No, they have to take that out of, and we're not. We're private sector, but I we have to do is work on this as providing the services. At the end of the day, we're at the 1.6 million, and we're bringing in 105 from our towns, which we're talking about. But right now we have to try to scale where we can until we get some buy-in from our towns, where it's at least.
But being at the minimum of 16, every time there is a hole, it's got to get plugged, and that's what is the major contributor to the overtime.
That's why I figured 6 weeks for every employee times would actually be 16. 40, 2,400 for 10.
Yep.
And that's giving them 6 weeks. A lot of them, here we selling back the running vacation.
Right.
But, so I remember I came up with that would have been, that whole would be 240. And then if I took these off, right around, if I take 28 off, 26 off. So
We can go with 250 there.
I was at 240 by mistake. That was just
right. And like I said, I factored in everybody exhausting every single vacation.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst case scenario.
But we actually put it in the line items expenditure. So which ones, so I was looking at it, I thought we were a little top end, about 200, but I don't know.
okay. All right, here, next. Okay. No.
Which one was that?
was
Just
talking
in your
to,
overtime.
you're doing way more math figuring than I've done. But you're really looking at 200. I think we also have to make sure that we communication line between everybody, between you and the mayor, has to be really good at who we are with everything. And just hey, figure it out. It just it appears to me that always seems to be a surprise of where we're at. Does that make sense? What little bit I've been about.
It does feel like an unknown. I think that's what I'm kind of getting at. It's feeling like an unknown, and I don't. It's not a good spot to be. I don't think. I mean, to a degree, yes, but $100,000 of an unknown, no. I think that's too much.
And I think every department has overtime, and I think we have to. I think. And not just you, Chief, is that everybody has to be very cognizant of what their overtime is, of what they can do to get that done where we need to be, because it's a job that everybody has. And I understand firemen, I mean, it's a unique job. I mean, there's certain things that we just can't change. But we still have to manage our staff in every position. So,
And that's the way the call dynamics are. You just can't. I mean, you could sit there and say, well, during the winter, how many storms are we going to have? We look back over the amount of times where we've had winter storms and we've had overtime clusters, but with the ambulance calls especially, I mean, you could go 6 hours and there's not a peep on the radio, and then 40 minutes there's 3 calls in all different, it's.
But at the same time, you should, because of things like that, you should be able to look at past figures and see some sort of a pattern that would help you to predict what's coming up. And
sort of.
I mean, honestly,
We look at the call trends.
The stuff that that I've done is like with your staff and the amount of overtime has not been consistent at all. So it's made it very difficult, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for whatever reason. We went from 16 to 21, and your calls stayed the same, but your overtime went up for like 3 years, and then so now we're back down to 16, and your overtime is even more. So that in itself, has not made sense to me right along, and I don't understand your day-to-day operations, how you answer calls, and like make those judgment calls as to when to call, and how many hours are we staying at this fire for our pool, or I don't know, or is it contract items? I mean, is it because we went to 24-hour shifts? I mean, I understand there's some variables there, but it's something has to be done. It's not sustainable in this fashion, and it either needs to get tightened down, and if it's not able to be tightened down, then there has to be a different way of providing the service. That's unfortunately the bottom line. And getting help from outside sources is difficult. But yet the VillageMedina should not continue to have to pay the full bear of it, because we just can't put it in. So it would be nice to have some other ideas. I mean, anything that happens is going to take a lot of minds to fix.
And that was part of that other sheet that I gave the other day of how to break it down cost-wise and income.
Yes. Yeah.
That was my starting plan, because I think working, and I worked backwards on that back to see what the amounts were we received.
Yeah,
I think there's a solid plan there to start with.
I appreciated the way that you went about that, absolutely. Thought that was a good way of spreading the costs. I'm not sure that. It's gonna go off that of course, but
I mean, at least it's a goal to get towards,
yeah, I think,
to make that whole, because
I think we're gonna try to project something similar to that, but we got 2 weeks, I mean, so
Right.
something has to be done.
I mean, that'll show.
Something realistic needs to be done.
That'll show
for
the
2
depths.
weeks. Yeah. Something realistic needs to be done.
That'll show
for
the
2
depths.
weeks.
Where we need to be, and then I guess you guys fill in the why. That's a huge portion, is the why.
You know, because the other thing is too, is that, you know, now when you are asking outside sources to participate, you know, they have right to answers to questions as to how you run.
Sure.
And so we have to be able to answer those. So we have to be able to answer those and to make sure that we're providing the services as cost effective as possible. That's just the way it is. So, like, moving forward without beating the dead horse.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Conversation we had before ships. With the 24 hours. That, any thought on that? Any feedback on that? Still getting feedback. People, during Facebook, I do not do people sending me that. I don't do social media. People send me that. Very concerned. A lot of them, which was sent to me, was from one of the firemen's wife. Concerned about the safety of her husband, you know, and we talked about, you know, they told me that they're still subject to that belt, you know, that when they're there.
Yeah.
I don't know how that ever came about. I worked those shifts where I was up over 24 hours that every Friday. That when I came in, I got it in the morning, and by the time Sunday comes around, you talk to that third day. You know, you get 3 days off. The first day, you walk around, you know, kind of dazed. And, I really think that needs to be looked at. I don't think that. I don't know why that was even ever. That was before I didn't even know you guys were doing that.
So we can talk about policies and do.
I would table with firemen. There's so many studies out of how many hours somebody is actually works and subject to the bill. I sympathize with them.
There's tons of
I would
data on it.
not want any of our firemen up over 24 hours or 24 hours.
There's tons of data on the 24/72 being out.
Yeah, and I read a lot of it. And a lot of it, the studies were saying that it's a major health thing, especially what we're providing. We're having our guys driving these ambulance, providing life-saving stuff, and they're all, you know.
And all the data that we have right now, 24/72 is the best.
For fire, not even.
Both.
I mean, we can have this. But to get back to where we were, so what I have in actually, so we all our 6 weeks vacation time, it's 3,840 hours. The two guys that are going to be in training for the 15 weeks, it's 1,200 hours. So if we look at that, it's 150, you know, at the $43, you know, we're at 153,600. And that's a full 6 weeks that, hey, we're going to cover all these shifts, full, you know, 153,000. And then if you go and, but then we have, it would be, you know, less coming off because, you know, the holiday pay, you know, that's giving everybody 6 weeks. I don't know. What do you get for vacation, Steve?
Me personally,
Yeah.
so I'm at 9 years, so it's 3 weeks, or it's not,
So is,
But 96 hours.
is 6 a safe number?
for just vacation time?
So, no, he's talking total time off. So you've got, and then you got 2 weeks worth of Kelly, so we're up to 5, and then you got a week of PL, so that's 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, our
So 6
mid, I would
is
say
6.
mid employees, 10 years and, less than 10 years, they were
6
6
weeks plus their-
6.
plus.
Once you hit the 10-year threshold, you're gonna be higher.
Yeah, I was going through your numbers and putting them down. That's why I came off with, that. And roughly we'd be covering 6 weeks. If each firefighter was off, we can't cover that, the 6. And you put a blended rate of $42 an hour.
That was the average.
Yes, yeah. That was, so I mean, do we have some wiggle room there? To see if it works? I don't know. Like you said, if somebody gets injured and they're off on workers' comp, that's the whole time. That's time that, that's it, each week's, $1,600.
So you want to cut it or you don't?
I do. I mean, I feel comfortable, with. It's really Steve's call. What he thinks. He knows the Kelly times, days off.
I think we go with 250.
Okay, I heard you wrote it purple on my
Okay.
page, so.
I did it on mine too, and Scott, I wasn't ignoring you earlier, I wanted to let Jeff finish, but, I wanted to hear Steve's rationale for how he came up with his numbers, and while you guys were just talking, I started building a spreadsheet to help me come up, I'll have a better number in the future, I didn't build one yet. But I will have a prediction, but I don't have one right now.
Just have one question. If we went,
You have more than one question.
I always have a question. If we went,
He always says one question.
If we went to 12-hour shifts,
Mm-hmm.
does that eliminate Kelly hours?
No.
Isn't that for payment of when they sleep?
No.
They get paid for 40, but they're there for 48 hours. That's how right?
It's the 42 hours a week average. So that happens with 12-hour shifts. And it doesn't matter how you cut it up. If you're doing 2 days, 2 nights, you're doing 4 straight days, 4 straight nights, it still ends up as an average of 42 hours a week. So it's those 2 hours that we don't pay as overtime every week, and we pay them for the 40. So 2 times 52 pay periods is 104 hours a year.
Okay.
So we give them 96 in time off. And then the remainder is an 8-hour check. So with the Kelly time, they picked up 4 days, 4 24-hour shifts.
And that's fairly new, that came in at the last contract.
Correct. Thank you, guys.
I'm just trying to learn about
50. I think there's more on there.
All right, point 2.
34 cents still.
Yeah, it's a 50. Up to the overtime. Yeah, so. Let's see. Did we even go over this? Or do I have notes? We don't do them. Okay, talk to us about what you got here. You got safety equipment went up 7.
Yeah, I kind of combined all these rescue saw blades and safety equipment and all that. So it just and equipment as well. So the air pack and the bottles and the masks haven't been purchased in the last couple of years. So I just took those items and lumped them all into one. And came up with 1050. So it's one line item.
Okay,
So it could be hand tools for the trucks. It could be, things that break. Got some older equipment.
pedestrian budget for 22 or something, I guess, was that, but 15, and then I got 26.5 for, is there anything?
The protective gear is expensive. There was 2 sets that we purchased this year for 8,000. We just got them in and it was a little under that. I think it was 74, 76. So I kept those prices the same.
So you didn't spend anything in .2.
It just hasn't caught up yet.
Okay.
The 8,000 was spent.
Okay.
We just bought some other equipment. I would title that under the safety equipment, but I'm not, I mean, it's 10% of the 3,000 that we just spent. Saw blades are good for right now. But they're aged. So.
I guess we did.
But that 16,000 is solid though for the gear for the 4 sets of you.
So that's replacement.
Yes.
Oh, that's 4 sets too.
So did you purchase 2 this year then?
Yes, for 8,000.
How long did it last?
10 years.
You got 27. Like 4 set.
I'm sorry, you went on to 0.4, so I was still.
Sorry, I
0.2.
did.
Nope. So what was your statement?
Not gonna do
No. No.
Say
The
no.
current year, so yeah, just pause me and say, hey, current year.
Yeah, in the current year, yes, the current year. I'm
No,
sorry,
we're
looking at
we're good for the next, what we got? 8, 10 weeks. Not even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. I'll be good.
What is this, membership?
Where you at? There's the Orleans County Chiefs Association. There is the State Career Chiefs Association, State Chiefs, and IAAI, International Association of Arson Investigators. So, 3 of those membership gets us reduced training costs to several. If you're an IAAI member versus a non-member. So that would be for our fire investigators.
We have our own investigators or we use the town?
Both. Depends. What do we do with the, so that highway? Nothing.
I don't think you know that.
Yeah, you sent that,
Did I
Dave.
send it out? About that. One of these meetings.
I know we're looking at things, so right now, in this budget for 8.4, if we stay in the pathway, what we average on a monthly basis, it's gonna be a budget by $1,000.
Under budget?
Under budget.
Yeah.
50,000. And projected $15,000 more next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say 2,000 out there, still pushing.
3410 as a whole, correct?
As a whole, yeah.
Okay,
Is that- is that a
I
whole?
was looking back at the point.
Oh, no,
two,
no,
so
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no,
oh,
no,
wait.
not a, no,
My
I'm not
year's
taking
gone.
that out, that you said.
Okay, I thought you were.
But just as a whole, because, you know, you said you're gonna be very good for the end of the year.
Yep.
And it's actually $15,000, or you should,
Mhm.
if you play the figures and play the averages, the 24, and we've got 15 on top of it.
Yep.
I would say take 1,500, you still got 15,000.
I'm following now, sorry. Keep it halfway through.
So at 80?
82, it was, his budget this year was 83. Leave it at that. And what he had last year still gives him $15,000 budget number. Little cushion, obviously, it's costing. That's like 20%. Correct.
So if we take 15 out, that's 80,600.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Any more questions about 34,000? 45,40.
Well, before we move on, just can we plan on chatting with Steve one more time? Sorry, but once I'm done looking at, like, I needed to hear your philosophy of how you came up with the hours. And I'll probably want to meet with you one-on-one to show you what I come up with and see if we can agree on figures, and then we might want to meet one more time with Steve. Sorry, Steve.
Then I'll have to rearrange it.
Gotta be comfortable with it.
I have to see it. Like, I can hear it, but I have to see it laid out to really get it. Yeah. I gotta draw the picture.
All right, so 45,40.
I'm sure mine's gonna have all those same
Yeah.
ideas. They're gonna be in boxes, but yes.
So why did they put 20 in there?
As a down payment for the ambulance,
Oh,
we would need to get moving on that pretty quick. It's looking. He's been pretty busy. First thing this morning, said, hey, you got a budget.
oh, yeah. You said you're the we talked about that.
Side.
Okay. Huh? Do I want your thoughts?
My thoughts?
Absolutely, Dawn. That's what you're here for.
So here's my thoughts on the fourth ambulance. Most of our calls are 2. 1, 2. How many times 3? In a year? 20, 30?
No more than that.
That's what I need. We have 4. We want to get another one and replace one that we don't use anyways because it's supposed to be no good or whatever. You know,
No,
we like.
we rotate them around.
Yeah, we rotate around. But I guess my thought is it's kind of like, you know, we want to keep your explanation to me was, well, we're going to have that in case one breaks down, which is a good theory. Kind of like, you know, my wife has a car, I have a truck, and then I have another. I should buy another vehicle in case one of those breaks down. And I'm not trying to put anybody's safety in there. It's just, you know, at a time when our budget is being very challenged to even order one at this point, you know, it's $20,000 more than we should be doing. That's my thought. And it's a $200,000 vehicle. When 3, they're all good, from what I understand. There's not any issues with any of the trucks that we have, and it's only a 1 year turnaround or less to get another vehicle.
It's going to be at least a year. I mean, if he could put us in, it'd still be a year.
Okay.
If he put us in right now,
I would rather, my personal opinion, I'd rather see well, if we do have to stay with 4 vehicles, would be a go into get through this fiscal year and then go to next year, still be,
Right.
it'll still be a year out, still 2 years, but it gives us a
Right.
chance to look at other avenues of other things that we may need. You know, you might need another $100,000 in overtime because you lose 4 people. Yeah, but I just think that's a bad choice at this time. To have 4. Well, we have 4 to order another one to replace that one.
How many miles on that? Oldest one, Steve?
What's that?
How many miles are on the oldest one?
218.
How many miles on that? Oldest one, Steve?
What's that?
How many miles are on the oldest one?
218.
What is it?
Yeah,
218.
218.
I was gonna say 220.
How about the other ones?
What year is that?
I know 6.2 or 6.3s at 125. The other one's right around that 60s. I think it's 60,000.
Yeah, the newest one's the least obvious.
What year is your oldest?
19.
7.
19. 6 months to 19.
The oldest is the 19.
He signed the paperwork.
We got it.
Yeah.
So in reference, the old 60 that we got rid of, that was 2009. We got rid of with roughly 250,000. So a 15-year-old, it took us, before that, it took to get 250,000. And we're already more than halfway to that 2-year-old ambulance.
Do we know, like, what do we do, not just on one, but what's our total mileage like last year? Do we know that figure?
That was never recorded.
I mean, just knowing where
I
that's at.
could look back and give you,
Yeah.
I could look back chart wise.
You know, from moving forward, you know, just for like replacement, you know, purposes, if we track the yearly mileage, we would know, you know,
Right.
if we work, you know, we were talking to Christian earlier today, you know, about getting a, you know, a sustainable
Steve Ziller
replacement.
took that over in November, so we got numbers from probably this early fall, maybe. Steve started, because I had him doing it before he was promoted, was doing the maintenance back and forth with the shop. So he would have those numbers documented. I could probably pull some of Chief Jackson's paperwork from last year to see where we were at the end.
Yeah. I mean, nothing, we got nothing. I'm just thinking out loud. Just
Nah, they're rotated around appropriately too.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'd like to
so
know the number, you know, the whole number of the all combined, you know, that way we could, you know, like, we get 200,000 miles on, you know, 1.7 years, we're putting 200,000 miles on, so we know that, you know, not gonna take up my time, but just be, you know, you could just build that in, at least budget for ourselves.
I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we're not knowing what we're gonna get from the towns.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I can't even think about purchasing more angels. I know that you're trying to like prepare for.
yeah, we wouldn't be putting the full
appreciate
amount down now anyway, even if we said, hey, we want them this year, we're not getting it this year. You know what I mean? So even if they push us to the front of the line with one of their spots that they have reserved and put it to, you know, and sign it the Medina one, we're still not getting it till the next fiscal year.
You do have that on the budget side. Where do we have room revenues? The 20,000, because that's in our budget. Because we're at 45,000, we're putting in annually. Yes, that's going into that account.
So that 20 would be offset if we made that down payment right now. And then basically what we're putting away, would we have enough to pay it off when needed? Okay.
Because we'd be putting the 45 in. We have the 45 in the budget for this year. It's close to the.
Yeah, I think June 1st, I would have enough this year if there was an ambulance ferry that was dropping them off. Yes, we'd have enough to cover it.
Got it.
But it's not going to be here.
Right, and we backed it off just because.
Right. The standard build time is 27 months. But he can slide us into a stock unit. It's in their production slot. It's currently slated for March/April 27. So
Well, it would be.
So, correct me, so you're saying that, just some of this, is that if we order it today, we got that $20,000 covered, and then when it comes in, you've already got money for it.
Mhm.
And where does that money come from?
You're
From the
budgeting that
reserve.
every year in the 1550. Yeah, that reserve.
Okay, and I'm gonna go back to just my thought, and you guys follow up, but do we need to have 4 ambulances? It's not about, it's not about buying a new one right now, it's really about having 4 ambulances that we have to maintain, upkeep, and pay insurance on, and all the other things that go along with it.
even if you were gonna go down to 3, if that was the decision of the board, it's 27 months. Or if we can sign quick, it's March, April of 27.
Okay.
So we're gonna need to order earlier, whether we have 3 ambulances or 60 ambulances. It
Correct.
doesn't
And
matter. You know what I mean?
So you've got one
Because
now,
of the
that
production.
you got 2, they got 125,000 miles.
Right.
Right.
And then we get the one with 60,000
Yeah,
miles.
it's almost 60,000. So we don't order one this year. And I don't know how many miles you put on a year.
Those 2 twins are the same year.
Unfortunately, so somebody's gonna have to drive a beat up one for another year. So you wait another year and then you order another one because you've got one of these that's gonna really take a crap. If it was my thought, I would say, well, I'll take one of these older ones, the 2 that are the same age. I drive the bejeebers out of one.
Yep.
So we can get, so then we can.
That's what
start-
we've been doing
so
with
then-
this oldest one right now.
But then we can get on a rotation of 3 vehicles instead of trying to get on a rotation of 4 vehicles. This is really about getting rid of a vehicle. It's about looking down the road, and just rotating up and possibly have a better ambulance crew than, or better set of vehicles than we have now.
And I'm
That's
just gonna,
just-
and I'm just gonna throw this out there, but if in fact the towns do not come through and participate in this ambulance service, we are not gonna be answering calls in Ridgeway and Shelby.
Yes.
That's 48, because 35,000 is not gonna cut it for the service, so I can't see us providing that, continuing to provide that service to them without some money. And so we just have to worry about Medina. And nobody wants to hear that, but I think it's a fact that we're all gonna have to come to
So
terms
now
with
take
it.
that
We're
one step
definitely not
further.
gonna need 4 ambulances.
And if
I mean,
that-
I hope it doesn't come to that, but it's a reality that we need to pay attention to.
And if that does happen, that automatically affects overtime.
Well, it's gonna
Correct.
affect,
It would
it's gonna
affect
affect
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yes.
It's gonna affect a lot. We cannot continue to provide the service outside the, we can't do it. And I mean, this is a perfect example of why we can't. I mean, we need 4 ambulances for, how many residents here in the, I mean, it doesn't make sense. We need to, if, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but it's the fact, and it's the elephant in the room that's, I mean, if we're not gonna get the cooperation, then we just need to worry about VillageMedina residents. And I don't know what exactly that's gonna look like, but that's our responsibility. Our responsibility is to VillageMedina residents. What exactly that's gonna look like, but that's our responsibility. Our responsibility is to VillageMedina residents.
I don't
It's
think
not.
I don't think there's another way of looking at it. The only thing that I'm a little curious about is how we would save money. I mean, I understand not buying the ambulance. I'm thinking more long term. How we would save money on not providing the service immediately, because I don't believe that our staffing would reduce significantly immediately as a result of that.
No,
Like if
because
we-
we're still in a contract and so forth.
Right, so I understand you might have a little of that overlapping call overtime might go away. And like I said, I have a very preliminary spreadsheet, so I really don't know what I think the OT would be, but it sounds like the general consensus might be between 2 and 250, between 2 and 3, pen was all over, but 250 is what we have on here right now.
Yeah.
And so if we try to carve out some of that overlapping calls because we went outside of the village. I don't know if it's gonna cut enough of our overtime to make up for I just think we should probably consider if we try to carve out some of that overlapping calls because we went outside of the village. I don't know if it's gonna cut enough of our overtime to make up for I just think we should probably consider the course in the immediate term. I think that's the right answer. I think that if everybody doesn't pay for the service, then the service doesn't sustain. I agree.
I agree.
I just think I want to make sure that we're seeing all the angles. The towns should not be paying less for a service. They're getting the exact same service as the village. I think we all agree with that. I want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row before we start counting savings that might not immediately be available to us.
Oh, I wasn't counting the savings, I said there could be.
Sure.
There could be on that.
And I mean, it's immediate if you don't buy another ambulance. So or if you don't immediately buy another ambulance. So I do get the line.
I'll tell you what, if all three of the buildings, if all three of the Shelby, Ridgeway, and Gage are come up with the money that we asked for, we'll go over the ambulance. We'll have.
So
See how that goes.
going back a step, not the cost sharing, there absolutely should be the cost sharing. Back a step to for the ambulances, one thing to note for the three newest ones, they're gas versus diesel. Like the oldest one is a diesel, and a lot of them before that were diesel. And typically the longevity is less with the gas versus the diesels, especially as you get into the higher mileage. So that's just something to consider for them. It's just a big conversation.
Is the new one gas that you're proposing, or is it gas?
So we'll be looking at about 625 calls with a piece, average out, and then I did. We're at 833 calls a piece. Transport. Per ambulance. Three. So.
Well, it definitely put a strain on three more than four.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to see what the numbers were gonna
Yeah.
look like, because we had like 2,500 transports last year. And that's just, I mean, that's not total cost, that's just transport.
And the fourth one you probably don't use because of the high mileage, you probably use that if you're back up there.
Yeah, it's the backup. It's not, you get that third call, you know, get a third call, you only have 3 ambulances, you have 0 reserves. Like right now,
everybody right local anyway,
so right now we've got 1 out of service maintenance, so we've got 3, and that happens frequently, you know, throughout the year. We'll only have 3 in service because one's down waiting on parts, whatever. And deer strikes, it takes forever sometimes to get the parts in, so you're down to 3 trucks, and that's kind of the saving grace there.
Is it out of line to get money from, or allocated, say it, team, get money from the hospital for handling the transfers? I mean, is that like a service that you charge them for? I mean, I understand we don't want to put undue burden on our hospital, but I mean, that's another
I believe
another
if they
cost.
contracted with someone else, they would pay.
Yeah. And how to find out what a normal fee would be, and I don't even know what a fee like that.
I don't know of another commercial agency right now that has a contract where there's a money exchange.
You don't.
I can do some more digging. I mean, I got plenty of friends I could call up and seek information on, but specialty care units, that's a whole different animal. So that's an extension of the hospital.
I don't know, it doesn't seem like commercial EMS would show up to a hospital not knowing that they're gonna be paid.
Those medical necessity forms are signed, so they know they're getting paid. That's why FedEx said it's a high yield account.
So somebody's paying those because it doesn't have insurance, so either one of the hospitals receiving.
We have that built into the contract. If they don't have insurance, there was something built into our contract.
Would you mind emailing that over to us.
Yeah, it's
I don't
ancient.
think I have it.
Yeah, it's ancient. It hasn't been looked at years and years.
No, I have it.
You got it right. Yeah. Two, just keep it on.
Would you mind looking into that? I mean, I don't, it's much that my mind, and I.
Sure.
And I don't, everyone's in favor of the hospital.
I think we need to look at.
Sit down and have a
conversation.
conversation.
No,
We,
but
we need an updated contract. Yeah. Like Jada and I said, it's ancient and two older ones prior to that as well. Not many language changes going forward. So I'll just type myself out.
Christian. That's a, maybe not the calls, but the time. I feel like you guys probably spend a lot of time on transfers.
Yeah, we had, I think it was 667 last year for 2025.
667
Transfers.
number, right? Number per number, but what's the time period on a transfer?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know,
It's
versus
just-
Batavia versus Rochester General, there's significant time difference. So, yeah, are we talking to the nursing home or are we talking transfers to the first? You're talking 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then 3 hours.
But what do we get for a take-home orders? Like what?
The BLS Medicare Medicaid rates,
Give us what, 4 miles?
2.2.
Gotta come back.
To the nursing home.
Right?
Yeah, you gotta go
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, you just don't stay
But
there.
it's just, that's a good point, you know,
What's that?
kind of flawed.
What was-
Or returning from the hospital.
Yeah.
You
Returning
check
to the
on 2.2, they still gotta come back, it should be 4.4.
No, we only get a load.
It's only loaded.
All of them to Rochester. It's just,
That doesn't make sense.
that's where the hot, you know, like.
You hit somebody on the way up, bring them back, huh?
Another thing that concerns me is that now you're on a daily.
Right.
Now you're on for at least 3 hours probably.
Yeah.
Or the hour that you drive back, and, you know, that we're not getting paid for it.
Not available for residents.
Correct. Is that's a standard throughout ambulance service?
Yep, and just as the wall time. You know, we are stuck on the wall waiting.
Yes.
There's some service providers across the country that have started billing the hospitals.
But it means they're just sitting there waiting.
Sitting there waiting for a hospital bed. So we're gonna charge there
15%.
I don't know if those supposed to be paid. But.
Yeah.
And the hospitals in Western New York have tried to do a good job at it. They're, one of the regional watchdog agencies is putting out data every day, every week now. I mean, obviously during flu time, it was crazy. There was a lot of delays, and you saw it in more urban hospitals. We're very fortunate we don't have that problem with our local hospitals. Batavia and Medina, usually it's pretty quick, you know, in 20 minutes you got a bed, and then we can come back real into service pretty quick. But it's difficult with the urban hospitals.
So are you back into service and then you drop off the patient or?
At Medina, yes.
You get back to Medina.
Depends on how busy it is. So we'll call back in service once we hit the county line. You know, that we're back in service, you know, but if it's really busy, we respond if it's the second or third ambulance out. Hey, we're coming from Batavia. I don't know if you got to get closer because there may not be any that's closer. So our guys are hopping on the radio and telling dispatch, you know, we're returning from Batavia.
All right, let's finish this page up and then let's call it. It's 9:25. My eyeballs are bugging out of my head. I don't know if anyone else is.
I need to figure it
So.
You won't let me bring it.
So 4540.4, see, we're at, so last year we were at 150. And, right, where am I here? 150.
The numbers don't match it.
Yeah. There might have been a transfer or something.
Oh,
We got 17. We got 17 left, and this year you're budgeting 198. Looks like we've got some red marks in here already.
Yeah, those, there was a typo for the 8,000 to the 80. We discussed that the last time. Telephone and fax lines went down.
So what, I guess the year before, we cut out 30. We just did a blanket board reduction of 30,
And it's gonna be tight this year.
which took you to 150, and then you got 17 left. So you're thinking you don't want to be that tight this year, 150?
Well, I'm thinking there's gonna have to be a transfer between 3410 going over to 4540 because medical supplies, it was going up.
Oh yeah, yeah, there's base supplies. Can we take 20 out? Yeah, that's what it was. Well,
Yeah, it's gonna be tight this year. Probably be a little over.
Yeah.
Looking at the averages, when I looked at the averages the other day, I'm like,
Yeah, if you're on,
you're gonna be a little over.
looking at the averages.
but even if you take 20 out, it still puts it at 170.
Right.
178, so that would be, I think that would be a
Prudent.
more prudent.
Yeah.
Or 25.
I would take 30.
25.
What'd you say?
Let's go. Jess is playing hardball. She said
Because this is all in front of me.
Well,
There's
if
nothing
I
else to
did
look
that,
at.
if I looked
All-
at that,
I would take 30. I would take you back to, what did I have it at? I would take you to, oh, I lost it.
168.
That's right, 168, 450.
that's 18,000.
Which I think, I think you covered. I think you did.
I think so too.
What's coming on,
Yeah.
Ryan?
That would have to come on the revenue though too. Yeah, so your revenue.
Yeah, it doesn't
Don't
really.
do anything about it. Don't order it yet. If we leave it in, don't order it.
I already ordered it tonight.
You did not.
I'll be here
You did not.
No,
We're gonna ride.
I wasn't going to. I mean, it's just very difficult because there's 27 budgets. I mean, that's 3 budgets.
I know.
So how do you wrap your head around that? What do you budget per year for it? Like, this is crazy. This is stuff that you could get within 3 months.
The 20 is already in the. Oh, yeah, the 20 is already in the revenue. Okay, so did we agree on the 0.4? Is everybody playing hardball like?
Yeah.
168.
Yes, just, like,
All right.
she threw it down. She said 30.
We're taking 30 out of 0.4, so that's 95,000 tonight. Hey.
10% of our 22.
Every little bit. All right. Okay, this is, all right, well.
Okay.
We take.
So this is just one.
We don't know until we get to the bottom line, so that we
It's just, okay.
all right, anything else, for Steve right now?
Just his A 1500.4, you've got the 45 for ambulance, that's the only thing that really touched the same. And so as of right now, we want to keep that in to continue to put 45 away.
Equipment. Yes, it was,
Well,
it should be
equipment,
equipment.
that
Yeah.
is what it says.
Vehicle,
Equipment.
yeah, vehicle.
I think that, nothing is off the table yet,
Okay,
so,
So as of right now,
This is still very fluid, but as of right now, we can leave it in there, but as I said, it's not absolutely, I didn't come through, but I think we did pretty good tonight. And I appreciate everyone's work, and we're calling it 9:30. Time to go home.
That's up.
There we go.
I don't have to cancel my appointment for the third
Jason
time.
sends me an email that says you can't make it, he wants to do it another night. So, you know, oh, I can't do it.